I are ready.
Alrighty, very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, meeting has been called to order. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Any conflicts of interest, anything? You want to consider that approved? Madam Auditor, would you please read the minutes of our previous meetings?
September 17, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Gene Hayden, Chair. Presiding members present were Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. The board approved the court fees for August 2024. A motion was made by Mulbauer, seconded by Dozark, to approve the purchase of the new CAT 938 wheel loader from Ziegler CAT in the amount of $293,243.35. Motion passed unanimously. The board had a discussion with Monty Crichton, Mayor of Vale, and Dennis Hoffman, resident, excuse me, on 343rd Street about the concerns of 343rd Street being closed due to the bridge needing to be replaced and the effects it has on several families. The bridge is in the city limits of Vale, and the lack of funding, the city has to replace it. Some suggestions were to annex out of the city limits and the county loaning the city funds to replace the bridge. The city of Vale will discuss this at their October 14th city council meeting at 7 p.m. No action was taken at this time. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rosberg, to approve the proposal from Carroll Control Systems for the courthouse second floor HVAC update for $70,275. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the moving of the drafting department to the VA office in the courthouse after the VA office transitions to their new locations. Elections will move to the drafting office, IT will move to the west draft workroom, and cardboard will move to the IT office. Motion passed unanimously. The board discussed where to store the courthouse flags after the VA office transitions to the new locations. The election's current storage space was mentioned. The board canvassed the votes cast in the Schleswig Community School special election held on September 10th, 2024. Copies of the canvass and abstract are available in the auditor's office. The board discussed the commercial bird exclusion proposal from Plunkett. Additional information is needed. No action was taken at this time. On motion, duly seconded, the board adjourned at 11:02 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
All right, any corrections or additions to the said minutes? Otherwise, I stand approved as read. Yeah, excuse me.
I have no objection.
Thank you. All righty. Reports of supervisors. I would just like to take a minute, the meeting for the Vale City Council. I got a call when I was running with the barbecue stuff. Is not the date that we all had moved and that we had written down.
So not the date that she just said?
Oh, not
No.
October 14th.
No, I don't think so. And she was gonna send me an email to remind me, because I was running down the street, helping with the barbecue fest. But I don't see where she did, so.
I can try and remember to email Tiff and find out for sure.
You say second Monday or second Tuesday?
It's a Monday, not a
It's a
Tuesday,
Monday.
but the time was not right.
Oh, okay.
So-
Oh, I wonder if it's 6 p.m. or,
She wanted to,
Okay.
before we all got, and I said, well, just send me an email so I can remind everybody, and I don't see that,
We
so.
got time
So,
by next week
Yeah,
also.
look
Right.
for an email. I just wanted to make sure that if you had your calendars marked, because I think it's an important one for us to go to. So that was just one little thing.
Do you
And
think she'll
then,
have 2 people?
and please only 2 of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, they can be more than 2 of them,
Yeah.
like she do one. Are you
And
going?
that's kind of, you know,
Oh,
unless there's decisions being made. I think we had that discussion at ISAC. Remember that it's kind of, you know, we go places she's not there. It's not, unless we're making decisions, so I think.
Yeah, I think this could be,
Right, I think I was in that meeting
Yeah, yeah,
with ISAC spoke about that,
Right,
and said
right,
that, hey, if you're, you know, a 3-member board or a 5-member board, you got 2 of the 3 or 3 of the 5, 4 of the 5, and maybe you all go to the same church.
yeah.
If you're not discussing business,
Right,
you
right,
can be together.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, that idea of you can't go to a
but I
wedding.
think this would be.
Right.
as a
This would
discussing
induce
business.
conversation.
public
This would be
meeting.
This is a little
like,
different.
yeah, it is.
I
But we
agree.
will be not making any motions or.
Yeah, but
No.
this is being discussed, so I could see where it could be, an open meetings violation.
I think 2 will be sufficient to
2
bring
would
back,
be
because we will
plenty good.
not be making any decisions, we're
Yeah.
fact finding.
I'm right over there if you want me to swing up for the meeting.
And I can swing over since I've kind of been dealing with it. I just need to make sure I know what day and what time. That's the reason.
And when you
that-
find that out, you text me.
I will. So we'll just plan on that, but I didn't want it to, and then who's all going to the meeting tomorrow in Ottawa?
I'm little pigs coming in tomorrow.
I'm gonna be out of town.
Terry, it looks like you might not have to go because nobody's going.
I will probably be in the town by then.
I'm gonna say that you guys, well, you got pigs coming.
What time is the meeting tomorrow?
What, 11 o'clock.
And then I'll be in the car.
In the Ottawa
Or
Club,
Joe-
Country
Joe-
Club. They'll be adding one more
There won't
thing
be
to
a lot
the
of
agenda. We're gonna have
companies
a,
at 1
in
o'clock
another
without
agenda, they're
their
gonna
calendar.
actually discuss the incentive for firefighters and EMA. The other counties that I talked to weren't even really sure what they do, so they said, well, that'd be a good thing for us to talk about tomorrow at the meeting. So we're gonna, you'll see in it.
So the other counties are looking at doing the same thing?
Well,
for
they
their
even,
volunteers?
when I talked to Steve Kinkle, he's like, I don't even know if we do anything, maybe that started before, he says, it hasn't come before me, and he said, well, I'll be doing a little checker, but that'd be something good to talk about tomorrow to see what other counties are doing. And I said, well, it's on our agenda to discuss today, and so, that's something they'll be discussing, that's not on this agenda.
11 o'clock, Ottawa Country Club
Yes.
tomorrow.
And if you wanna go.
I will be there.
Okay, if you wanna ride together, you can drive the Benz up, no.
To drive what?
I can drive. Nobody likes my driver.
Her electric car.
Nobody likes my
She
driver.
says she can.
I can't too. I just get distracted sometimes. Leave me alone. So I can have Jerry drive us and drive as well.
Craig's regretting this volunteer.
I'll meet you at Ottawa.
How do you get to Ottawa? It's just a joke. It's not funny anymore, but
It seemed
I
like.
think it
We
is.
spent all got a good laugh.
oh, at my
Because you're
expense,
not loud, we don't
always.
mean any fun.
So those are my things. Tomorrow at 9 AM, they've changed my advisory mental health meeting from 2:30 to 9 o'clock. And, so I should be able to be in Ottawa by 11, and then I always stalk the actual meeting that's at 3 o'clock. I only do the Zoom meeting for the regular mental health board meeting, so. That'll be my day tomorrow. Today, just as long as it's my turn to talk for a minute, I will be meeting all of the realtors at our building at 105 North Main. Jim Brown's had it on his website for a while, and he's had some interest, and so he'd like to get inside, so he really knows what's in there. As long as I have one realtor going through, I've got the other 2 just gonna meet me up there at 1 o'clock, and we're gonna go through, they're gonna take pictures, so I know for sure how many bathrooms there are. Cause you can't get much information from the assessor's website since it's a government building. I did talk to Totten about our other building, and we're all on the same page again.
I was over there this morning and nobody was there, but I did peek in, it looks like he got at least the basement part addressed that I took him there last
Yep,
Tuesday
yep.
and I could see in there
Yeah.
that stuff had happened in that area, so.
Yep, yesterday before my, public health meeting at noon, I drove by, I was gonna stop in and check, and I couldn't even find a place to park. There were probably 3 different Carroll, control.
Looked like a bunch of their stuff went on the
Yes,
floor.
that's all between you, putting the wallboard is just getting the top and stuff done, right?
Yeah, they might be just hanging out, waiting for the Carroll control. people to
Right.
get that now.
According to Totten, there were wires that had been pulled out because of the new HVAC system
Okay.
and things like that, so we might as well just get that done.
Yeah.
I talked to Totten about the bathroom down there, and he is aware that takes a plumber. We talked about upstairs, that sink, but, we've got to get somebody else in there. We talked about the 11 colors of paint, so we had some good discussions yesterday, but anyways,
Okay.
my turn is up. So who wants to go? Kate does.
I have just a little bit. Chris Whitaker, Region 12, emailed Ty and I and Paul Plum and what else is on there? Jessica Garcia.
Yeah, Jess is the one he added.
Kind of was waiting for Barbecue Fest to get over, and he knows it's, he mentioned in it as well.
Who's it from?
He's
Chris
got,
Whitaker.
he had Rick in there too, so,
Okay.
but otherwise our key components were you and I and Paul and Jess.
What they've been doing in some of the other counties is they're having a county roundtable, city council roundtable with the county. To cover some different things, and they would like to, in Crawford, and we did this in the past with kind of League of Cities through Eric before, and I don't know if it's what we decide on, but we have some things to discuss as far as whether it's get this one going, and then if you make it quarterly, or some of them do it quite a bit more than that, but you need to kind of see the participation of the city councils and how they respond to it as well.
Yeah.
And like Ty, you said you get central location, I think helps.
Yeah, we did it, when I was, and Eric and I were doing it last time, when they didn't have to travel so far, more of the mayors and council members showed up. So like Vale and Denison were kind of centralized enough, Vale's didn't. I just think that, we had the very first one in Charter Oak, and it was moderately well attended. But, I didn't think it was as good as it would have been, or should have been, I should say. And, there's just so many things that them guys bring to the table for this.
Well, and he says in his email, he says, really three purposes of these meetings is to increase communication between entities, provide educational opportunities, and networking. It's kind of just Craig, I know we talked about before, when you have duplication of services or different governmental entities doing the same thing, this hopefully helps hone in on what's being done, so you can come together on what's being overall, big picture being done. So I think now that Barbecue Fest is over, we'll get the ball rolling on this, maybe a little bit down the road here.
And don't you think, like, when you guys go to ISAC, I mean, any of the meetings that or conferences that we go, but meetings, I mean, it's the networking is almost one of the biggest things we go for, where you can talk to your peers and say, hey, what's working for you guys? Or what are you guys having trouble with?
I think I couldn't count the number of times when something's come up and I say, oh, I know that supervisor from that county that's done something similar, I'll give him a call or her a call, and just being able to, or they specialize in that, just having that contacts.
Will they have on the agenda for the smaller communities, how to get going on some of these rehabilitation for deteriorating properties? Because that was one of the things that I feel bad about with the smaller communities, that those monies are available, but unless you come to the table and ask for it, similar to what Denison has done, these smaller communities could use that money the same way, but they always say they're not aware that it's available.
I literally I was loading and talking to a young man that had just bought a house and was just talking about his windows and some of the work he has to do. And I said, well, have you reached out to city council? Your city council or your mayor? I mean, there are programs to help you get that done, because he's a young family.
Yep.
I mean, I said, there are actually programs out there to help you facilitate it. Really? See, so people don't know.
Ty, I think as we set this meeting up, we could ask Chris about possibly taking hour and talking about some of the different housing programs.
Yep. I
And
think
emphasize on that.
that's a key part of,
The other thing though, and Kyle and I have been down this road, I think, well, we went to the derelict building session over in Region 12. You still have, the old adage, you can lead a horse to water.
Right.
You gotta have, involvement and participation
Yeah.
and a willingness to take advantage of them, so there's only so much we can do to provide and get it out to
You
them.
bet.
They gotta respond after that.
and part of it has to do with how long they plan on living in the house. You can't fix the house up and flip it, kind of a deal. And
Yeah.
there's some criteria and guidelines of how long you can live there, but it's all worth it, because if you're using a 5-year forgivable loan and you gotta live there 4 years, they just prorate it, so it's not like you have to live there for 5 years, you just have to pay it back if you don't live there 5 years.
Yeah.
Things like that, so, anyways, yeah, I think that's a good thing, but I think it's important to make sure the small communities know how to tap into that resource. So, I signed in the wrong place, so I guess.
Sorry, Andrew.
No, you're good. Just, well, you're on this anyway, so it's kind of the thing that we've been talking about doing and wanted to get through some of these things like barbecue fest and kind of get past harvest here a little bit. And I think November, December will probably be my timeframe. I'm hoping to set.
That works for me. I might have some things solved down by then.
I promise.
Otherwise, well, and Terry just was gonna ask, do you ever hear any feedback on our courthouse room changes?
Not much. Jake and I talked a little bit last week and he was, talking about the, HVAC portion. So Justin Gatto was in the building, last week. And I asked him to, go down and look at that office space that Jake would be moving to. And, cause I know it has some AC venting, but if there's gonna be, his rack of machines or, you know what I mean? It needs probably more, and there is an exterior wall, which is very convenient for like a mini split. So Justin was gonna look at that and
Jake can be perfect.
see. I think he's okay, I think he is, yeah, yeah,
Compared to where he's at now.
right, yeah.
This morning too, if you needed more room, like I said, we could always, that back part of the current drafting room now, I mean, just a small portion of it.
For storage stuff?
Maybe,
Not if there's election stuff in there,
Oh.
no, we'd have to put a wall in,
right?
but I don't wanna cut space from you.
No, I know, we gotta wait and see what we
Wait.
use and need,
I
and,
mean, that's.
but he can always use that, the space we're moving out of.
Right.
And anyway, so yeah, no, so we started talking some about, that. You know,
Fist withdrawn or,
no, no,
you know.
I don't want.
That's good. Also, talking about space, I did have a MRHC meeting last week. I told them that there was conversation about potentially at the new Crawford County Community Service Building Center, that there could be a space for them to utilize for substance use counseling, which we had.
Oh, in the
talked about.
conference room,
The
or
conference
what,
room.
yeah,
They thought that they really liked that idea. They said, well, you know, said ultimately want to serve people in our area. And we're open to discussions on what that would look like. And I think Teo will probably come back up in December sometime and give us another update.
oh, okay, I gotta look, I can't remember if I got her paid or not,
Speaking of
I
that,
like that.
is that about the
I know, I
monies
just
for
remember that,
opioid? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
yeah.
Did you ever, with Gene, speaking of that, sorry to interrupt, but did you ever take that, packet of stuff that basically breaks down drugs over to public health? And did they want to get some of that stuff to have on hand?
I had my meeting yesterday,
Yeah.
had the wrong car. But I'm going there again today at 1:00. And I'll
Okay.
remember to take.
It'd be nice to know if they need some monies for that before.
Maybe it breaks down.
You can put it in any drug, you know, any of your meds at home, especially ones that you don't
I
use
have a
anymore.
great one.
You know, a lot of people just
Oh,
leave them in
to
medicine
dispose of
cabinets
them,
and then
maybe?
kids could get a hold of them. And if you put this chemical that this guy in Minnesota makes, you put it in that drug and it actually breaks down the medicinal chemicals in there and it makes it inert.
Did
So
you
basically
use
keeps
it
kids from
after Saturday
overdosing
night to clean up the green
on some
room?
of these drugs.
Green room was clean, let me tell
Good
you.
thing.
I had people laying on the floor just begging to be able to go home.
A lot of people take their meds, you know, for the opioid type stuff, you know, if you got pain stuff, and then they keep some, should,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
I
But
got
they
it.
don't know what to do with it. And just don't wanna throw it away.
But
So
you can't
that's
put it in the
how-
trash.
Yeah, anyway, that's my point. I just had that, sorry, but you were on that, I didn't wanna forget.
Sometimes when you got a thought, you gotta stick with it, so. Yeah,
That's all I got.
take care of it.
I got a little bit.
We'll keep going around the table.
We had our EMA meeting, last Tuesday. I'll just give you a little update. The board went over different things. We had, with, Greg not being able to be around. And, I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on it, but, the board decided to terminate his status, or the commission decided to terminate his status as our EMA director. And in the interim, Tim's gonna step up and fill that position. But we are having a meeting today, is our first meeting to begin creating our duty, description, job description. And also to, we'll have the HR people, Amy will be involved, and we'll have Chelsea here so that we can start working on, obviously, the job description stuff. Plus also on, recruiting a new EMA director. And,
Will this be full-time, part-time?
well, that's it.
Coupled with something else?
We hadn't decided that yet, but I think that the commission appears to be leaning towards full-time. And I think kind of all of our stipulation was, we want to be able to find the revenue streams. A big part of it is, and some of the EMA people I've talked to out and about, and even Corey Gaskell brought it up, that when they started down in Shelby, he had a lot of information. He's been talking to the Shelby County person because of this coming up. And there's actually 2 and has been 3 down in Shelby County on the full-time roster. Now they've got the ambulance service. But the ambulance service, the assistant EMA is actually the director for that. So I mean, the manager for that, I guess would be a better word, manager. And then he backs up the EMA guy. That person has to be gone for some reason, and then vice versa. So it actually is a twofold fit there. Now, I keep hearing that someday that might happen here yet.
I keep hearing that too.
And I know that they're, rallying the petition to be on the ballot in the near future of getting additional EMA funds through taxation. And that might be the thing that actually opts that into our, I don't know, so I've actually been watching, until I had this job, I never looked at so many things. And when I drive through a town and notice things that now I do notice, I notice when you're driving through a county seat, how many places now you'll see, county, whatever county it is, emergency services center. And it's their ambulance building for the county. So and small counties like ours, that's where you typically see them. So it seems to be a more prevalent something that's happening in more places now. Like I said, now I'm actually watching and I see that, or I at least notice it now. But, so that might have to happen too down the road. So that would be another task in this chain of, if it's an emergency service. So anyway, we did discuss those type of things at the meeting, that the ambulance thing, so to speak. That's something that actually has been brought up subsequently. But we're trying to sort through all that. I think that the more we talked about it, the more we decided that having this as a full-time position starting to sound, more critical, especially with all the large needs that are. Now, it's just like Tim the other day, with the little short time he's got, he's actually already kind of brought some things out of that we didn't even know were available, like when Charter Oak had their boil water order because of something to do with the connection with rural water. And so they just put a boil order in effect. Tim calls it, hey, there's some water available if you guys would like to have some water over there. I said, let me call the mayor. So I called the mayor and hooked them 2 up, and Hy-Vee showed up that night with a load of water. And it got distributed around the town, so, and through, I think over the school got quite a bit of it too. So, it was a whole, I think 16, there was a bunch of pallets on that truck that brought it down. So thanks Hy-Vee and thanks for the emergency service.
21 spots for pallets on a full load.
Yeah, it was a good sized load. So anyway, that was kind of handy. And just little things like that that don't always get thought of, you know, and then I just brought up at the meeting there, I went to the, emergency management coordinator, or he called himself a manager, up there in Woodbury County. I went to one of his meetings and it was about informing people what to do in an emergency and how to develop basically groups in each town that kind of help look after the town's immediate needs. Because law enforcement and even our fire service are probably gonna be taxed to death if we would have a large emergency that would last for multiple days, weeks, year, we don't know, you know. We're gonna be, a lot of times, especially out in the rural area, on our own. So these are other things that we have to prepare for, you know, and I will tell you that when the largest part of our population was the farms and had the 6 to 12 farm kids out there, people were pretty self-sufficient. I mean, they could survive on their own, you know. But the more we have people in the cities and in our towns, the less gardens we have, the less all these other things, so the less people. I mean, let's take a poll of Denison, for goodness sakes, of how many people can. I'll bet we wouldn't be real impressed with the numbers, I mean, but these are the types of things that this guy brought up that I thought, you know, we don't even really talk about that. And that would be an emergency management thing, so I mean, we've got some good, and this he was a Chicago paramedic and fireman, and also he's got a master's in emergency management. I mean, he's sharp character. So I mean, those are the kind of networking our EMA guy could do, you know. Now Greg did this probably with, I don't know how much training he had, because he did it for 25 years. Probably at first he did whatever was available, you know, but, you know, as the years have went on, I think that the trainings got better and they're more capable of helping coordinate the services in your county and alertness. I mean, it's like got brought up at the meeting, airport, you never get brought into this equation, but 232, is that the right number, Kyle?
Sounds right.
I think so, 232. They, actually they were close, the airport they were closest to, and they called in their emergency was Denison. And they said, would you like to try there? And they gave them the distance of the runway and they said, no, you know, but what if they didn't have that option? What if they said, well, we gotta put it down somewhere, she's falling otherwise. I mean, now granted, I don't know how well prepared Sioux City was in that time, but you know, that was before I came home from the army, you know. The wreck was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when I actually, you know, so I mean,
Stupid stuff like
but you look at the different things that, you know, are greater possibilities in today's times, you know, and actually at the meeting, and Dwayne even brought up where we have had some plane crashes, helicopter crashes and different things in our local area that aren't normal things or aren't common, you know, and if EMA directors are going to their meetings and their conferences and bringing back the same kind of information for their system that ours are, or that we do when we go to ours, it sure ain't gonna hurt the county. So those were some of the things that talked about. I think there's a good group working on this. We formed a task force. It's our first meetings today. Roger's representing law enforcement on it. Deputy Rasmussen, and Corey Gaskell, you know, he's basically representing his job as mayor, but also, you know, he's EMS and fire all rolled into one. I mean, so that's helping cement that part of the discussion. And then obviously I'm on it. And then Beth Winquist, she volunteered to be on it, and very sharp lady. And so she's very thoughtful, has a lot of good questions. And I think we actually, I'm gonna guess at this. I think that the email got sent out. Can't remember how it was all worded on there, but we it solicited like people from the hospital, Rory down here at DMU, and different people that would have input on putting a job description together to make sure that their specific needs were listed in what the EMA director would actually have to perform in his duties. So I mean, we're trying to reach out to everybody, and that was one of the reasons that airport got brought up initially. You know, I mean, just obviously for that reason, you know, there could be an emergency out there and there might be things that we don't think about that they do, you know, there's things firemen do that law enforcement don't think about. There's things law enforcement do that none of the rest of us think about, you know, so. Yes,
I had a question when you had minutes.
okay, but that's typically starting today, or that is starting today, and we hope to get the typical information started to get put together. And hopefully with the HR people, help us start the hiring process of new
We
EMT.
just meet in the conference room.
No, we're gonna meet here because it's got a better Zoom. You know, I, just from my perspective, and I don't know anybody else that sat in on a meeting, when we're down there, it's hard to hear everybody in the room, even the ones that are close if there's other people talking. I mean, I know they say if we talk over top each other in here, it can be hard. But I've watched meetings in here and it's a lot easier to hear everybody in the room with this owl than it is with the thing up on the.
So is it gonna be a Zoom meeting that other?
Well, we're gonna have a Zoom, Al, I mean, everybody that's included on that list that I was talking to, I mean, we didn't wanna get too many cooks into the broth here right away. You know, I mean, we'll solicit other information from the commission when we bring back our findings, cause this is still to bring back. Do we want a full-time director or do we want part-time? And, obviously the budget will alter somewhat, but we're also trying to, like I said, find money stream. I will tell you, the city of Denison's talked about, some of the things that they have that are part of the emergency service system. If we would be interested in, taking up them tasks on in a 28E type thing. And our emergency manager managing it, you know, like the levy system, Tim brought something up to me that their emergency or their levy person actually does the mowing. And I don't know that our EMA directors have time to do the mowing himself, but that would be something that you'd have to make sure was in the budget for getting done. I don't think you have to probably worry about a lot of snow removal for that. I don't know, never dealt with it, but I know that Paul could probably answer some of them questions, and then if we have, you know, talk to some of the people from inside Denison on doing it. So that'd be one part of a revenue stream. The grant aspect, you know, there are a lot of grants things out there through USDA and different, actually, I was sitting in one of my agriculture meetings yesterday, and the lady that was on there speaking, she was talking about how they track monies and stuff going in and out of the Department of Ag for these type of things. So, I mean, I thought that, well, it's kind of nice, all them little reminders pop up at you at the right time. So there's things like that. I mean, and that's kind of how public health operates in Fort Dodge's, Webster County's public health, you know, the zero tax asking because of all the grants, other money streams that they get from outside of the county. And so, I mean, would that happen with this? I don't know, but if you don't do that, and then to me, that's part of the hiring, in the hiring process. Are you able to do grants? Are you willing to devote a fair amount of time to doing that? You know. Anyway, and then 911 got brought up, you know, I mean, if they would like the coordinator aspect there, if you'd like that to be part of this job, I mean, kind of falls in the wheelhouse. I don't know. I said, well, you know, something to talk about. And I mean, that's your committee, so I just bring that to your attention that got this. Huh?
Did Dwayne have input when you talked about? Since he's the,
I'm trying to remember who all said something when that got brought up. It might even been something that Corey and I and a couple others talked about out on the sidewalk. I can't remember how that got brought up, but Dwayne was he had a lot of things that how they had been doing stuff, especially since Greg hasn't been able to be around, how people have stepped in and helped. The truck was a big topic of discussion because, you know, having to deploy to scenes and issues with it, you know, and obviously, you know, thankfully Terry was there. She was able to scowl when they said, well, anybody should be able to take that truck. And insurance, I mean, it's just, I don't think anybody really considered the insurance aspect, you know, I mean.
so who's all driving the truck?
Well, obviously Tim and Greg, county, anybody I suppose that would be covered under our county insurance could.
Trying to find out.
Oh, okay.
I contacted Kim Craigle with Hoffman's and she was gonna get a hold of the underwriter and find
That is
out.
an interesting,
While I'm on that
It is.
subject, you know, we did bring up if they could use like the EMA pickup instead of having to take a sheriff's vehicle out of service for a whole day, if an EMA vehicle would be an option. And the guys kind of made that the same point. Well, you know, it might be necessary, you know, like this year, or next year, it might not be this bad, but you know, going forward, it might have more jobs to do. So I ran this, I kind of thought about this over the weekend. Paul's got the budget for a new pickup for the new engineer. Be able to order what he wants for a pickup, you know, whether it's a Dodge or a Ford, you know, same types of pickups we always get, but his choice of vehicle, you know. But then that makes his available. Now, I don't know if he's got a plan for it. I don't know, I've not really asked him, but if he doesn't, what if we put something like that under the guise of the board? You know, basically assigned to the board, but then has a sheet that, you know, like if you would help manage that, where people could, like if the weed commissioner, Terry said that we pay him a gob of money to drive around and look at stuff because he's turning in mileage. Well, what if he could just drive here, grab that pickup and go? And same thing for like when they're needing it, or like if we're going to a meeting, like, you know, you guys are going, you wouldn't have to drive the Vespa or whatever it is.
where is this pickup parked now?
Oh, well.
No, the EMA,
The shed mostly, I suspect that's where they go pick it up from.
I think it used to be in Greg's.
I will tell you though, Corey did the research on Shelby counties, and because an EMA person's on call all the time, and a lot of times, EMA people are paramedics, so they'll deploy to even an emergency call, and might be the only paramedic on scene to roll with an extra ambulance for like one of the volunteer outfits, something like that. So I mean, maybe having them to where they take them home isn't the worst idea, because then it operates kind of like a sheriff's pickup for the deputies. That was just something he said they did in Harlan or Shelby County. Where they had the EMA director and the assistant, he said, had a pickup, but I said, we'll see how that goes, you know, but in due time, you know, I mean, as long as we don't stress our taxpayers beyond limit, you know, I think in due time, you could probably fit those things in. And when I say due time, as grants provide themselves available, you know, you can take care of things like that.
Right. We get money through taxation for an ambulance service and you need staff and stuff, I mean, that's due time.
Yep, you bet. I mean, there's things we're gonna have to be thinking about going forward. And I don't wanna eat up all the time.
Yeah, I hate to ask questions when I'm concerned about these two getting time, but it seems like the relevant time to get these questions out. So tomorrow, the meeting is not an open laws kind of meeting, it's just a committee meeting that the public, you know, since we're having it here on Zoom, it's not a open.
Yeah, it's really not an open meeting.
No.
No, it's just for our task force to get together to start
No worries.
discussing that.
So how long, Tim's doing it temporarily?
Yep.
Does anybody have any idea how many hours a person works on this job? I mean, is it a week where there might not be anything that you do? Or is
Yep.
there?
Well, no, I don't know that there's that. I mean, I think there's always stuff you could be doing. But it's just a matter of, and that's the thing, is this.
No job
Job
description.
description. We don't have one.
Alright.
So I can't tell you
So
that.
tomorrow, you're actually gonna drill into the actual job description of how this, task force, visualizes the new position would be going.
Yeah.
And that would be a 40-hour-a-week job,
That's the intention.
the intention.
You know, actually, it'd probably be more than that if he's, you know, got all the things to take, he or she's got all the.
I would like to make sure that in that, it says they must live in Crawford County. You know, if we're gonna be, you know, cause we've got people that have our vehicles and they don't live in Crawford County. I just don't wanna have somebody that lives over in Shelby County taking the Crawford County EMA, pickup home, cause we don't, I think that needs to be very specific if you're gonna do this job in a full-time employee that you live in Crawford County.
Yeah, okay, I'll bring that up. Yeah, I don't have any problem bringing it up.
My thought, all right.
I've been working very hard not to speak for the commission, just relay what's going on, because I'm gonna tell you, we really got a good bunch of
I
mayors
think you do.
that are very active. I mean, there's some that can't show up for various reasons, whether they're working or whatever, but I mean, we've had good turnout at every EMA, just like we had with the assessor meeting, and they all stay very engaged. So I think we'll actually have pretty positive results.
I think it'll be fine. As I was listening, if they're gonna drive the pickup, very important that they.
Yep, nope, that's fine.
So we'll just keep going around the table. What do you got, Kyle?
Let Craig go.
Craig?
Okay. Just, couple things I wanted to let you know, Maureen Hanson from the Third District Department of Corrections, I don't know if you guys have served on that board before, but they're having a retirement coffee for her October 10th, 9 o'clock in the morning in Sioux City. And then the other thing is our fence on the county farm that butts up to Jim Muff is, I met, Dalton, his name is Dalton Hamlin. He's the guy that bought out Mike Hubert, fencing. And, he was out, he just called me on Thursday and said, hey, Craig, I can get together on Friday. So Friday, I met him out there and, he gave us a estimate. He estimated that me and Kyle thought it was 1/8 of a mile, and he put it on his phone, and you know, everybody, these young people and phones, and it's 660 feet, which is exactly 1/8 of a mile. And, gave us a bid of about $3,500 for materials and his time to put in one wood, two steel, match up with what Jim Muff has got there, 5 wires, $3,500 if.
5 wires?
5 wires.
Okay.
And, I told him we'd want it facing the pasture. Even though it's our side of the fence, want it facing the pasture. He would, if he would tear out the fence, he charges $200 an hour to do that. So Kyle and I, we kind of thought, would our county guys do that? So talked to Paul this morning and he said, without a doubt, there's 3 trees in the way that need to be cut out. And Paul said that, take them a half a day to
Do that.
take out those 3 trees, take out the fence line, smooth it down so it's smooth, because it is kind of hilly there with, you know, there's cow paths and stuff along the fence. Where it's a little uneven to make it all nice and flat. Dalton told me that he's at least for sure 30 days out before he do it. He said probably 60 days. He's got another fence over there for Larry Bodker that he's looking at doing. So he said, I'd like to do them both at the same time. So there's no doubt that Dalton can do it.
Perfect.
I can't see us getting a bid from anybody else. I mean, I think
Sounds pretty fair.
It's small of them.
he's the only man, that's out there that's doing it. Nice young guys, taking it over and,
Good.
so,
I think that's the Hubert's one that was always doing Paul's fence on the secondary road.
Oh, yeah, he's about the only guy
Right.
that did fence. The
And
only
that-
other lead I had was from Hinton.
Well, that Jeff Klein, but I think all he's doing is commercial fence now.
Right. Yeah. So
He's worked at all our chain links for the tower, and then he did do our stuff.
that's a good number to remember though, because we'll have to, all right, wanna know that.
Good job, Kyle.
so. I just told him that we'd go ahead and do it, just put us on the schedule.
Yep.
And, there's where the pasture is, I mean, we're from, I guess, a timeline standpoint. Jim's got a bunch of corn to the north that he'd like to have taken out, so he can move the cows onto that cornfield. And then they wouldn't be in the pasture, otherwise Jim's gonna have to, you know, put up an electric wire or something, which he was willing to do. But, so the timeline, I think, is gonna work out pretty well.
How far apart do they put the post? 8 feet?
I don't know. I've been asking that.
For the wood boat street.
Yeah, well, what do you steals? Usually about rod.
Which is what I tell you, Rod would be half of 33.5 feet, right?
Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
16.5 feet. My guess,
Good guess.
On time.
I would step off there if I.
There's a
here?
gate clear on the north end.
Marlene
He put some of those in yesterday.
Not have that there.
I thought Jim wanted a gate there, just in case
Butter scotch.
something would get across the fence. Yeah, easy. I
Not
accidentally
one of
get
those.
it. Take care of
One.
the fence.
Nothing to stop it. One.
So
It's like potato chips.
That makes sense. I remember him saying that. So, yep. I just didn't see a point, I guess, because I know we wouldn't remember what we needed either, but it makes sense that if someone you out, yeah, wait. Okay.
You sure the next day making golf or movie.
Now, if you pass the bag, they won't be all for you.
Pass the back.
Of course, it goes the other way.
I
I'm
know.
getting ready to get one.
What a plenty.
There'll be some left.
Now we need coffee if I'm having.
Oh, there will be. Well, we gotta start off with a little history.
Aw.
Lance
Oh.
Nelson was in last week and, you know, he's doing a little
Thank you.
historic research. And, came across this picture, found it online, I guess, but
Oh, that's cool.
this is a railroad trestle bridge, just a mile west and a mile south of Kyron on the old Pumpkin Vine Railroad. So, for perspective, here's Kyron. Okay, and it would be right down here is where the bridge crossed.
Wow.
And, it's quite a bridge. Built in
Yeah.
1898, and he said he could remember as a kid, you know, playing on that. It was taken out in 1957, I think, 57, 58. And, so anyhow, and then
Looks like it's right out of an old western movie, doesn't it?
we have Ernest with his cow Spinach standing in front of it. And there's the bridge in 1958 with part of it missing. It was just kind of cool stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Favorite cow.
His favorite cow, Spinach, yeah, Ernest and Spinach, his favorite cow. In 1958.
Who's Ernest?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Where do you find that picture?
Ernest Gold.
This happened to be in the Kyron folder, along with this. Of course, this is an old aerial photo, but you know, it's really interesting to look at the old aerial photos.
Oh, my
Because
God.
you can go online and you can find every aerial photo that's ever been taken of anything in Iowa. And it's on a USGS site, but you can just pick a spot and you just go back in time and you can look at all these aerial photos. So you go back to 1939 is the first time that we actually had aerial photos of the area. So I mean, you can see that railroad, obviously, you know, back then because it was operating, but kind of a neat old picture.
It's very neat.
Yeah.
Greg will be just doing research all week now.
Oh, the cookies.
What did we do? Oh, you showed up. That's why.
Stop over here.
Sorry.
I just gotta have one,
Who was
take it
it?
with me, but thank you.
Marlene.
to,
Get the
Marlene.
closing recipe.
Your favorite auditor haven't had one.
Your favorite auditor.
She's taking Jim. She's never gonna see that bag again.
Probably. Anyhow, so we just have one permit, it's MediaCom out here on Oak Brook. Just putting in new fiber, new cable, I guess. Got a short stretch there, the bridge replacement project on E16, they continue to work every day, it's just slow. I mean, they're working on backfilling operation, pulling the old steel sheet pile cofferdams out, and it's just, they're there every day, it's just taking a
Water
little longer.
running through.
Not yet, they're going around the bypass channel, cause they gotta get the copper dams out, and get everything out in that downstream area.
Oh, okay.
And then get some backfilling done down there, and then they'll
Oh,
turn it loose. You wanna get all that work done down there first. So that's where they're at, the grade crew. Probably by the end of the week, they'll be done there on E Avenue, another really nice grading project. Then they're gonna go over to F Avenue and do some, that's on gravel roads. We're a little cautious about how much we do actually on the road this time of the year. So it's kind of more of a snow borrow there than anything. So we'll be working a little bit on road, but mostly off road. Bridge crew, finished patching, and they're working on that bridge replacement. And they're gonna take the bridge out, and put in a structural plate just west of Ricketts. And roadside crew, seeding and mowing. Verdine just ran out of patience, so he's gonna take the tractor out without the windshield. Last Monday morning, a week ago.
Get him some goggles.
Yeah, so he said, I gotta go. I said, well, you know, there's open station tractors all over that people are mowing with. If you wanna go, go. So, but the first windshield came, was damaged in transportation.
Oh, no.
You know, and then the next one's supposed to get here Wednesday or Thursday, so he's gonna go run for a couple of days.
No, that's way too long for him to wait.
It has been, yeah. So, anyhow, that's moving along. I wish we'd got a little more rain. We got a lot of seed laying out there in dry dirt right now, so.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get a half inch or an inch here soon.
Rain before the wind.
Yeah. The next item is that notice of public hearing. This is on that designated that section of our avenue as a level C. So, talked about that last week, so, and we've talked to all the landowners that'll be getting notices, and everybody seems to be okay with that. So, just be putting gates up on
It
each
looks
end.
fine. I mean, we were out there, me and Kyle were out there with Jim on that road.
Yeah,
You see where the gate should go.
yeah.
It'll be good.
I think so too, and at some point if the property, his brother has that 40 acres in there, if that ever changes hands, boom, I'd close the whole thing then,
Yeah,
you know.
it's been a
Yeah.
tough stretch as long as I can remember.
It's not a good road,
No,
no, at all, so. And they're
I don't think
interested,
you'd want to be on there with a half an inch of rain.
no.
That was crazy.
There've been a lot of times where that road's just been impassable for, you know, the spring of the year quite a long time, so.
I can see that.
So when do you want the public hearing? What's your?
Well, we've got it set here for the 22nd of October at 10:05. Put it out there a ways. We've got the trial on the 15th, so we can't do it that day. And then, you know, just had to push it out a little further than
Okay.
that. So you'll have to kind of,
Is it a
Figure out.
10 and 20? Is it a 4 and?
I'm not
You
sure on
know?
these. I've always thought 4 and 20, but you probably should check for sure, but.
Okay. Okay.
But anyhow, we'll get this done and then get it published whenever it makes sense and just push it out there a ways. So,
Get a motion to set that public hearing date.
Motion to approve, public hearing scheduled for October 22nd at 10 AM.
October 10:05.
10:05.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Do you have any further discussion? Otherwise, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Date has been set for publication. Okay.
Okay, the roadside spray truck, I think I maybe mentioned to a couple of you that, you know, it's getting old. We actually had that in the budget. And then we decided to repair the engine in that truck, run it a few more years. So it's to that point where it's a 24-year-old truck. The equipment, you can imagine spray equipment.
Furnaces, they spend more time coming to town fixing it.
It's been a problem. Yeah. Now, you know, the question then is, it's gonna be about $180,000 to $90,000 deal to replace this. So it's not a cheap item. I got a quote for the spray equipment. Really, there's just not very many people that put these things together. And this is the company, this North Star, they're out of Auburn, Washington. And so they build any of the spray trucks we have, they're the ones that built it. So pretty good, you know, once they do, pretty good service with them and haven't had really any major issues. This one, it's just hard to even get parts for it now for the equipment that's there. And so, you know, the question is do we want to try to amend the budget and get it here for the spring of 2025, get things lined up, or put it in 2026 budget and get it later in the year?
How much do you think it's gonna cost?
It's gonna be 180,000, 190,000 probably.
Is that with the chassis and everything?
That's everything, yeah. I haven't got a quote on the chassis yet, so I'm kind of guessing on that.
Is this something that we put it in next year's budget, I think earlier, and then like redone the gas?
Supervisors.
Well, see, they won't do
Right.
that, no. Caterpillar's really good about that, because they, you know, some other person, because I think we need to make for 2026 budget, where we could get the stuff delivered in March, start using it, pay for it in July 1st.
Do we need it in the spring? Do we do a lot of seeding in the spring with it?
Well, this is a spray truck, so we would start spraying in mid-May
Right.
is when we start spraying our roads. So that's what I was getting at, is that, you know,
you kind of get this thing ready,
All right, I'll do that. All right, thanks, Donna. You betcha.
just throwing it out there for something to think about.
Great.
You know, I mean, the fact is, we want to continue to spray roads like we've been doing.
Yeah, we do.
This needs to be replaced.
Right.
Yeah. So we should amend the budget, get it by next week.
Yeah, that's what I want to, you know, I can get all the prices and then if we get it ordered and it happens to come in, which would be great. I mean, ideally, we'd get it here in March, get it ready and prepped and get going. So
All right.
that's just a point of discussion. And you guys think about it. Either that or I put it in the 2026 budget that I'll be working on in December and January. And then we just say, okay, well, we'll order it, but we can't pay for it till after July 1st.
Paul, if you put it in the 26 budget, you'd be removing something else out. If we put it in and amend now, would you be taking something back out of the 26 budget then?
Well, this is the roadside budget. There's not a lot to take out of it. I mean, it's
Or some other
salaries, seed,
purchase or
chemicals.
something, I don't.
Don't have any. We don't have a lot of big purchases. The roadside budget's about 180,000, 180 to 190,000 on a regular basis. That's your seed chemical, or, you know, seed chemicals, your mulch and paper. Those are the big items in the roadside budget.
Yeah.
And then if you throw in like what, we had budgeted for this and then we ended up buying a mower tractor instead. Remember that one mower tractor was hit from behind. And so we just decided maybe we ought to move that. Dean seemed to think that this was gonna be okay for a few years, and it has. I mean, it's gone a couple more years, but it's starting to really, you know, it's like a combine where all the augers and bearings and everything's wearing out. It's just done, so.
Well, we need it, so makes sense to make a good amendment to me, but we'll.
What do you guys think about it and talk about it?
Struggling to get the job done now because we're spending more time fixing it.
Yeah,
It
hard.
in a lot.
Yeah.
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 How much does that cost again?
No.
Hours for the employees, plus
Right.
everything else.
It's a mandate to keep having to go back and repair.
And when did we purchase this one? How long has this been on our fleet?
This was bought in 1999.
1999?
Yeah, so it's over 24. I mean, it's gone
25
through
years old.
24, 25 years old.
$7,500 a year is what that thing costs us if it lasts another 24 years.
You know,
Yeah, I
I
mean, they
think
take-
it runs pretty steady through the whole summer. I mean, it isn't like it's just a month vehicle.
Oh, no, they'll be running from middle of May till the middle of August.
See, so I mean, it isn't like it's
Yeah.
just a vehicle you use for a month, you know, like a combine, you only use it for a month.
It's just too bad, you know, CAD gives us such a good deal on that, because you're talking 6 weeks before our new budget.
Right.
It's so close, but yet I get it, you need it.
I know, and they, you know, they're gonna want their money.
Right.
I just know they're not.
Yeah.
We can send them an IOU, promissory
Yeah,
note,
yeah.
something
Working
like
for it,
that.
custom.
Bag of cookies.
Pay you.
Probably wouldn't all them cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you guys think about it. I just, I'm gonna get prices. I wasn't able to get a price on a chassis yet.
Price.
Because they're waiting to get pricing on the 2025 models, so as soon as I get that, I'll come back and give you the firm number. And decide whether we wanna, you know, move on it. You know, the trucks that we ordered from Mack here, back in August of last year, you know, they were supposed to have, that was supposed to guarantee us a June build date. Well, they're probably gonna get here in about 3 or 4 weeks. So, you know, so that could happen with this too. You just never know. You could do all that stuff and all of a sudden something happens and you don't get it until June anyhow. So, but anyhow, something to think about. The last thing on here is the, Everest has always kind of priced some gravel out of what they call their Crocker pit. Should be a C in there, Crocker. That's north of Correctionville, 56 miles from Denison. And so I've got the guys hauling just one day out of there just to see. It's a lower priced material than the Hallett's out of Anthony. And just, again, exploring other options for gravel. You know, and, you know, if they continue to raise their price, I haven't gotten the 2025 pricing yet from Hallett's. Hoping to get that.
Here
here
you see
soon.
the difference between the two.
Right now, it's 50 cents a ton less at Crocker than it is.
Quality of the gravel.
We're getting some here just to take a look at it. Yeah, I said, let's get 3 or 4 loads in here
take a look at it. We're gonna sample it, run it through the gradation too and check it, but.
I'd be interested to find out how they compare
Yeah,
with the gradations.
Are they in the same vein or anything since Correctionville to Hampton?
you know, could be a similar deposit.
In theory, it's upstream, should have more rock in it, less
Yeah.
sediment. Heavy stuff settles out first.
But, you know, it's just
Sounds logical.
having more options, I guess, you know, and if their price stays the same and the other ones go up, you know, then all of a sudden you're $1 difference, well,
Right.
you know, you could haul it another 5 miles at 20 cents a mile and break even. So what you're always trying to do is a combination of the material and transportation. And then where do you find the break even? So,
Is there an option to be blending them like Stratford does
Reliability.
with
uh,
10%?
that I doubt, because if they would blended it, they'd be blending that grain, because they're a Sioux quartz site. They're where we get all of our riprap, Everest. I don't know that they have much in the area of limestone, but, honestly, the gravel. we get out of
Quartzite on
Hampton is
gravel
probably-
roads?
Pardon?
Would you want that quartzite on the gravel road?
I mean, they use it up north, but it can be, you know,
Sharp.
it can be sharp and then you have flat tires.
Yeah.
So it's really durable
We care
material,
about that, I care.
you know, so they do use it in places. I mean, but this is not quartz, this is gravel. Okay, this is not the pink stuff that you see.
But that's what they use instead of limestone.
Yeah,
This is where-
yeah, up north, they'll use that product because it's closer, you know, so.
10 flat tires on the farm.
I can tell you when my trailers spend a lot of time loading up the northeast or northwest corner too, where they have the orange gravel.
Mhm. Yeah.
They get ripped up pretty good.
So just looking at options.
Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
You don't know until you know.
well, that's just it. And if all of a sudden the price starts to make sense and now it's in the ballpark, yeah, that might be a place where we go in the future. So,
See what you think after you through.
yep, okay.
All right, thank you all.
Yeah, can you tell
We'll
about
come
the chicken
down
dinner
later. What
tonight?
now?
Tell about the chicken dinner tonight.
Oh, I have not yet.
Yeah.
It's been just a,
Yeah,
we're having a fundraiser for the Wellness Center tonight out at the Copper Ridge.
Staley's chicken dinner.
Sally's Chicken. Ty will be taking, oh, he'll be directing you where to go.
Telling you where to
I
go.
will be also telling you where to go after he's
Okay.
gotten you closer.
I'll be
Do you make
putting chicken in a box.
I can make a delivery after I'm completely done with my shift. But we start
Yeah.
at 4:30 today.
Yeah.
So,
Piece of
yeah,
chicken.
so it'll be delicious and it's
Yeah.
a great fundraiser for us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's getting pretty close to having it, but to this board's credit, this was the first entity that stepped up and said, we're gonna commit some of the ARP money to the project.
And we've stayed at the table, so
Yeah,
if it's a
so,
good project.
thank
Oh, I'll be down
They'll be
after we're done.
Yeah, at lunchtime, we're gonna see. Thank you.
All right, very good. We will keep moving. The next discussion, take action is on Deanne Hanson property tax suspension. I believe Sherry knows more about that. Is that right?
No, Deanne's here.
Oh, Deanne, okay, very good. All right, so what information do we need? I'm not sure if I understand what we're doing here, so,
Come on down, Deanne.
yeah, Deanne, let us know what's going on.
Let's see.
Good morning, welcome. All right, so what is the suspension? I'm not sure if I'm familiar with how that works.
Well, I just received information that being on disability, that I would be eligible for property tax suspension.
Is that the way it works, Sherry? I'm not sure how that works.
So, Deanne got a letter from DHS that says, you may not have to pay property taxes at this time. Take this notice to your county board of supervisors to discuss having your property taxes delayed. We have a couple individuals in Crawford County that do take advantage of that option. And it's my understanding that's what Deanne's here asking for. A suspension is not abating their taxes. A suspension is only saying you don't pay them right now. They do have to pay them at a later date, but they don't accrue penalties, interest, and they cannot go to tax sale.
What is typically that time frame of when they are due then?
As long as they remain DHS eligible, they remain eligible potentially eligible through the county, but that's up to the board to decide based on whatever information you as a board look at. Since I've been in office, I have not been in one of these discussions. The two that were on were prior to my time. So I don't know how that whole thing played out. It's my understanding they came to the board, they requested it, they presented what they were asking for, why they were asking for it, and then the board made a decision.
And they have been suspended since then.
Yes.
And how exactly, you know, if your taxes are accruing every year, what would be your plan then to get them caught up? I mean, because we're just kicking the can down the road, kind of.
I think in the past, I think the estate cleaned them up after the people passed.
So your house,
That I recall.
do you have a mortgage on your property at this time? Okay, so the only thing you pay on that would be the taxes. Can we get an estimate of what those are a year? How much are your taxes a year? What amount are you asking for us to suspend? Okay,
$254 a half is what they are this year.
So basically $508 a year.
Yes.
Right.
Now, does that keep accumulating each year? You know, eventually
no interest or
If you live-
penalties, but,
30 years.
Whereas.
And there's a uniqueness to this property.
$15,000, then it
What's
would
the
be able to
uniqueness to the
alter your
property?
estate.
Right, Sherry?
What's that?
Being a tax sale on this property?
There is a tax sale on this property, so that obviously would have to be cleaned up, first if the board, even took, even considered, suspending it.
So this is because basically she doesn't have are you a single parent?
No,
So nobody works at your house?
yes, my, children's father works,
He lives there yet?
yes.
Okay.
does but he's not on the deed of the property, it's just in
County
here.
deed,
So his income would come into play then also, correct?
yes. It
So
would.
it
I thought
should,
was just-
yeah.
For what you get at DHS, will be your income, but on the deed for the property, I feel like the board would look at any income in the home as to whether you were, able to pay or not, but that's my decision.
That's $42.33 a month that you would be paying, out of, and so I don't know if we can even ask what your annual income is. I don't know what questions we can ask.
You know, it's,
This is all new territory. Wouldn't you rather try to keep them current rather than just letting them build up? And since you're already in a tax sale, what is your plan to take care of that? Because that's not gonna stop because we're suspending the ones going forward.
I've had a lot of time to think about all this, people just kind of came up suddenly here and I got the right information. I've been working on this for about 4 years and it seems like there's a lot of misinformation out there, according to what I've heard and
Okay.
the sources that I've gone to.
Misinformation from who to who?
Well, a number of different agencies.
Okay.
DHS doesn't even really seem to know for sure the people that I've gone to.
Okay. Well, the letter itself, who has that, says to bring this to your board of supervisors, so you're doing the right thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the advantage to you rather than just paying, $43 a month, putting that into a savings account and keeping your taxes current rather than just,
Finances are very tight. And that's just,
but they should get better now that you're getting your disability, because that's
I've
gonna,
been getting disability for years.
so what's changed? I thought that you just got approved for disability. No, what did that?
She got that letter in
Didn't know
21.
what I was supposed to do.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been.
I didn't read the date on it, I apologize. That's why I ask a lot of questions.
No,
Because
it's
I
okay.
need to,
I don't understand all of this either.
well, you're,
I was told by my attorney that this is something that I should take to my supervisors, and I talked about it with Sherry a little bit over the years, and just weren't really sure exactly how to go about it.
okay, so help me out a little bit with your attorney. What role is he playing in all of this? What's he trying to help you do?
No longer a role. Just when you receive disability,
Okay.
it was something that I was told that I could do.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, 4 years ago, when you were put on this, you could have come in then.
I
and
did.
You did,
Yes,
okay?
but we just weren't sure exactly how it was supposed to work.
So in the meantime, then, we've not been paying the taxes, so now
I've
it's
been paying
gone.
the taxes.
You have been, so how did it end up in,
Just this year,
Tax
it's
sale.
been, last year, we recovered it from a tax sale too. It's just, money is tight.
I
That's all
get
there is.
that, I get that, money is, there's a lot of bills out there, I realize that, so I understand, so.
How do we figure this out? I'm not
We
saying,
might have to talk to our own attorney.
because I'm not saying this ain't warranted.
No.
I just, we can't just do something willy-nilly
No.
where we got a line out and down the street. People coming in requesting. Not trying to be, we gotta do what's right.
Well, there is a
For us.
section in Iowa code that says,
I don't doubt any of that.
no, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you do. I'm just trying
We've
to
never. we don't
share
know.
with you what I know, which is not much.
Dave's got a question?
One more comment. I think for us to do our due diligence, we need to run this by Colin or Martha and make sure that we dot our i's and cross our t's for what, like you said, we set precedents for and make sure that we follow Iowa code and what is said in there. I hate to make a decision on that without knowing some of these things now.
Mhm.
So
What other, sorry.
I just mean, I think we should table it today
There's a couple of questions I want to ask
And-
before we take.
and then we can, do some fact finding on our part and then go from there.
My question would be, we're only looking at your disability side of it. If there's two people that own this house, I don't
My
understand.
portion of the taxes be.
I don't think we do that. I don't think we do have, in anything that I've ever dealt with the government, when it's low to moderate income, we look at the household size and the total income, your disability, the husband's income, anybody else that's living in the house with you. We would have to look at that to see if there's any way that we can just keep doing because taxes, the saying is you have to do two things in the world, pay taxes and die. Those are the only things you can do, get out of everything else. So these taxes, you're not, I don't think, bettering your place by suspending them because they're still out there. They're not going away. So I think we should do some research to make sure if there isn't some way when you get your tax returns at the end of the year that we could take care of them. Do you get child support or anything? No, okay.
My children's.
Okay, and he's steadily employed? No house payment?
Just pay
It has,
every day medical and other.
well, okay, this has been going on for 4 years. All right,
Before we get into any, I think we really need to talk to our county attorney and find out what we need to know.
Okay, how far about it?
So my years at DHS and,
that's right.
I worked there for 21 years, like in here, my years at DHS showed that when a parent was receiving disability and there were children at home, the children also got a disability payment. So do your children get that? So then Kelly must make too much money for them to, Jody, excuse me, Jody must make too much money for them to qualify, is that?
No, Jody's, since we're not married, I can't really relay on how things went and what they required of him, but they didn't really look at him as a factor. They just looked at what I had and it was all a temporary. I can't recall exactly how it went down, but.
Were you asking me a question, Kyle?
You said there's a tax sale, what's that?
This for the last year,
Okay.
unpaid tax sales certificate, looks like when I printed this, it was $539. So that makes the tax sale certificate plus the taxes that are due now, the grand total of $1,047, all of which would be due except for $254 of that this time.
So we wouldn't really be accomplishing a whole lot, because in order for you to get out from under the situation you're in, you're gonna have to come up with almost $1,000, is that correct?
She would have to come up with the unpaid tax sales certificate of around $539
Right.
for sure.
Right?
And then what I believe what she's asking is to have these taxes suspended. So nothing has happened to the first half yet. If you chose to suspend them, those would carry forward without penalty or interest. I can't have you suspend what's already gone to tax sale because an investor has already paid those taxes and we have to give them their money plus penalty back.
But are we able to suspend
That's where I think we need to
the
have
tax?
Colin.
Yeah, that,
We need to have Colin, we need to have.
we have about 6 questions we need to ask our own attorney, because I don't think that, putting it on the agenda for today, we can suspend taxes that were for last.
You're suspending what's due now, is my understanding.
Okay.
What's
Not
due
what was
first
already
and
the
second.
tax sale.
What's
Yeah.
due right now in September and what's due in March is what I believe you're looking at now.
I mean, cause I'm just here on a website, Iowa Legal Aid. And it says, if you are an eligible taxpayer, which means that you get SSI, SSA, or get assistance for living in a healthcare facility, the county must suspend all property taxes. This includes more than ordinary property taxes. It includes special assessments, rates, charges, interest, fees, and costs that might be assessed against your property. It also includes any taxes due at the time of the suspension. So, I mean, that's what they're saying. And so that's why I think we definitely need to have Colin give us some legal advice exactly as to what can be suspended, what can't be suspended. What happens when it's in a tax sale, all that needs to be addressed with our county attorney.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
Excellent point. Thank you, Craig.
all right.
we'll move
So
forward with that and.
So
we will,
move that we put this off until we can have,
Colin's usually really good at getting us out of our questions, so we could possibly get it back on the agenda for next week possibly, but give us some time to sort out the legal, what we can do, what we can't do, because we want to make sure that we do it correct and make sure that we do it according to the law. And we need an attorney to advise us, because nobody here is an attorney. So we thank you for coming forward. Appreciate your patience with us, and we'll let you know what our attorney says, how we can go forward.
Since Gary has a tax sale
Would
and
you
all that.
please take that, cause I mean, you got the numbers and everything, would you please bring that forward to him so we can get.
you want to
This
put
on
this
the
on next
forefront.
week's agenda, since it's basically
I think it's
considered.
If
Is
we have,
Colin here this week or?
I don't
If
know.
we have it back, I just, we need to keep it
I saw
moving.
him this morning. So he's-
Yeah.
This wouldn't be something that would take him a terribly long amount of time, but, so I feel we should be able to bring it back next week as long as our attorney has the advice for us.
Put this off until next week.
You could, look on the, one of us could give you a call, or we would have it posted on our agenda Friday, and if you see
I
it
can
on the
shoot her an
agenda,
email.
that would be fabulous, because
Like I did this time, I'll let you know if it's going to get done in time for next week's agenda. If for some reason it's not, I'll make sure that I let you know when it is.
I think just so you can hear and answer questions, based on what our attorney is saying, so that the information we gather is information that you believe to be, because if we make that decision and you're not here to basically defend yourself against what we feel, I would like to have you come if you can make it. But you could also Zoom in if you'd like to do that. If it's inconvenient to, find childcare and things like that, we have the Zoom available. You just have to raise your hand and you can talk. So, yeah, I think it's just best that you hear what our decision is, how we made our decision, and if you have any objection to it, I'd rather you are able to do it before we make that decision of what we're gonna do. That's would be my reason for wanting you to be here.
And then when I talk to Colin, if he has any questions, I'll reach out to you if you're okay with that. Okay.
Okay. All right, we will do what we have to do. This is how we get started. We have to kind of gather information, and sometimes we have to bring it back, so.
I'm not a good public speaker.
Yeah, I understand, but you're among friends here, so you're all.
You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We'll do our best.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I see it next week. All right, next on our agenda is debate for the Crossroads of Crawford County for November of 2023. I see we've got Jeanette back there, so come on up. Hello, thank you for being patient. We don't put times on it anymore because we can't promise we're gonna be at
I bet you
10:05.
No, I bet you can.
So,
Not a problem. Actually, that was, I wasn't listening in great detail, but it was kind of interesting
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
to come behind and I don't want to be in the line for.
yeah, there's all sorts of things on these
Please.
agendas.
Well, we've never had that, at least
No, no.
come before the board since I've been on the board.
But I
Oh,
think
really?
even-
So, okay, that's not a common.
You never have.
But I think even though every situation is a little bit different, you know, so we have to make sure that we're
Absolutely.
looking at every part of it that we didn't. Oh, but by the way, there's some things that I have in my mind that is different, so I'm gonna go talk to Colin right now.
Yeah, but this next one,
This
similar
one,
situation.
this one we've had, so we're not reinventing the wheel here.
As I say, I don't know Kyle as well, but I know the rest of you enough that I don't know how much introduction you need.
Kyle's okay.
He's okay, huh?
How about cookie?
Right?
Andy makes, she tries to do recipes on it,
School.
so.
Don't take them if you're not gonna read them, so. But I just put a little stuff together so that you're up to date on what we do, but,
I don't know if I have these exact ones yet. I thought-
you might not.
I don't think I
We-
do.
Since our move, we've been trying to get things switched around and
Yeah.
now we've been there long enough. And I'm
This
like,
is
we
new.
can't use things with our old address.
Thank you.
So, the post office no longer wants to forward our mail, so it's like, okay, it's time, we need to have her done. So, nutshell version about Crossroads is, well, actually, we're in our 9th year, and so I think it would have been 7 or 8 years ago that I came here and just introduced what we do to the board. And I remember saying, don't worry, I'm not gonna ask for money, and seeing a few smirks because I feel like, well, you're not gonna get any anyway.
I was here.
You were here for that? Okay, so you do remember,
I'm not
okay.
here too, Dave.
Yeah, I was here.
Well,
And our-
you've been here too.
9 years already.
Yes, I don't know, I blinked and here we are, it seriously has gone that fast, but, at that time, we were doing Christian family resourcing, so it was kind of just helping people find or make appointments for, you know, whatever they needed. A lot of times it ended up being mental health kinds of things or substance abuse or whatever, so you could see there's all kinds of things that they don't follow through on. We created a monster. And we were kind of working ourselves silly really quickly, which we kind of suspected, but we wanted to see what areas were most served there. Well, lo and behold, it was pregnancy, issues, early young parents, you know, single parents, and the elderly. And when we formed, our goal was to make programs in the areas that we did the most service in. And so I'll just say that it just happened that fast and that easily that we actually now have 2 programs rather than the family resourcing. Sometimes I don't even put it in our materials because when we have that staff person that can kind of meet that, we'll be back to it. But right now, we just need to focus in those 2 areas. So, we started in Our Savior Lutheran Church in the basement. Then we moved over, so I can't remember if we were over at Timberline Drive, which is next to the USDA office. Generously received an offer for very doable rent out there. Well, we grew enough that we literally were kind of like on top of each other once in a while. And then when we got into the pregnancy and parenting resourcing more, that was in 2020. And we just had a problem. I mean, you couldn't have a conversation in the building without, you know, I'm sorry, in our office, not in the building. And so it was just like, man, this just isn't working. And we had decided to start looking, but what really gave us a kick in the butt was the Knights of Columbus of Carroll County had approached us and said, we'd really like you to get ultrasound. And I said, do you see where we're at? And they said, you work on a place and we will work on the machine. And it was kind of hard to turn down because, you know, we had already accepted that we had received a large grant from Heartbeat International to become the Pregnancy Resource Center. So, the ultrasound, I just thought was down the road and we have to do special fundraising for. Boy, did we have to do special fundraising for. We looked at different sites around Denison. We spent a year and a half doing that. It took a lot of time. There was nothing quite right. But the building that we're at now on 7th Street, which is straight across from Rice Trailer, you guys know where we're at. I know you do. It just kept calling our name. We just kept going back and it's way bigger than what, you know, the square footage wise we would have been looking for. But it was like, but can you grow into it? And the answer to that was absolutely yes, because we want to grow. So we have this offer to get an ultrasound machine and we need to build that program. But what we are doing and have been doing and want to really make a program out of is the parent mentoring too. So that they have a place where they can come to, just kick back and say, here's what's going right, or here's what's going wrong in my life. If they've had a fight, you know, they can call, but they're not gonna call because they had a fight, but they wanna talk. So it's kind of just an informal, formal, but looks like the informal way of being there for them and having people, you know, be able to professionally respond to them without it feeling like a counseling session. Because guess what? They'll cancel. You know, as soon as things just get comfortable enough, they'll cancel that appointment because, well, there might be some confrontation. It's just uncomfortable. Yeah, that's, you know, this is a texting world nowadays. So we want to be there for them because they came and respond to that. And yeah, and they can bring their children so we can do mentoring right there. That's all in the future yet, so I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it because we just need to get our ultrasound program ready yet. We do not have our machine yet. But we're thrilled to be able to just, this is gonna be a starting place for them. So either just think they might be pregnant, they're not sure, we'll do a pregnancy test. And then, you know, work with them and we can do ultrasound. We are not gonna be a medical place. We're not gonna replace any OB care. That's some of the rumors that we need to squelch. We will be referring to, you know, OB docs and whatnot. So, and then we want to partner with those to just do things healthier is kind of our goal. So.
How big an area are you planning on servicing?
Well, whoever comes to me or us, not me, us.
Whoever shows up at your door.
Exactly, because we can't begin to travel, you know, if they're close by and we wanna do a home check, which very well could be, or like there's not other services in there doing home checks, you know, then we may wanna arrange that. But for the most part, no, they're gonna have to come to us because we just don't have the staff to spread out. If that becomes a program later on, I'm all game for it because, you know, their home environment is worth it, but right now, our goal is just to give them a comfortable place to come to so that they do come and that they learn, because it's a healthier situation than what they're used to. So parenting and.
Yeah, I mean, I hear the same. Like they're really all that rumors.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're actually a lower income county.
Yes.
And,
I've heard
you know, I won't call us poverty stricken, mind you, but we have our fair share of poverty, people that are financially challenged.
Yeah.
And I know St. Anthony's has made a bigger, or are going to make a bigger footprint in the county. But and I talked to my potential new niece, you know, actually just this weekend about it, 'cause she's in the baby department over there in St. Anthony's. And, I'm just, are you, at least for, you know, I mean, medical care is one thing, but you know, the proper nutrition and all that, I'm sure that's what you're talking to these, you know, a lot of times it's a young kid. I mean, is that who's coming to you? And do you anticipate a bigger need in that regard?
Yeah, don't let me forget to answer your question, but St. Anthony's, now that CCMH closed their OB program, I had been talking with them anyway, because we're looking for a medical director and it wasn't, you know, we just tried to kind of invite that in. So, you know, anybody in the medical field, please, that might be interested in being our medical director, let us know. It's a very part-time position. But anyway, I was talking with the gal over there and she said, since CCMA, since, you know, everything's been coming over here, she says, we are like inundated with low income, late OB care, no OB care. And I'm shaking my head going,
Mhm.
I think she had been tucked away in Carroll County, not realizing who her neighbor was. And I said, yeah, I've been here 35 years as a professional. I know this is why Crossroads exists and it's why we built this program, because it's just screaming with those kind. So we have to be very careful that we don't, and I don't know, this is such a liability world anymore, but we have to be careful that we don't give medical advice. So like if she says, oh, I'm really having some pains, that we don't make that decision for her, you know, we just recommend that she calls her doctor and him or her deal with it, you know? So we have to be careful. Same thing with nutrition. Yeah, we'll talk about what, and we can do some group stuff, but if we become a nutritionist, all of a sudden we put ourselves out on the line.
Fine line.
Honestly, it's driving me crazy because I kind of operate on a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing, get them what they need. And now that we're doing this ultrasound center where everything's got to be exactly, because we're kind of preparing for the people that would set us up to be, you know, doing something wrong with their clients and, you know, of course, it's like, oh my, it's ad nauseum. It's just like, we're doing all of this. Yep.
So I guess is the ultimate mission of the ultrasound for you and Carol Knights Columbus to identify early on a pregnancy so they can start planning? Is that-
Yep, exactly. And another, because they might be young or they might be 40. I mean, I back when I did adoption, I think my oldest one was 42 and she was about as needy as a 15-year-old. Because she just was that, you know, they might not know that they're pregnant, so they're coming in for that pregnancy test. They might be, yeah, I'm pregnant, but I just, you know, and they're 5 months along and they still haven't done anything because not today. So they need that hands-on, let's get you there. They're gonna, you know, we're gonna get a doctor. We're gonna do an ultrasound probably just once with these gals, because after they go to an OB, that doctor needs to be the one deciding. We're not gonna be like free ultrasounds, you know, ad nauseum, because that just takes away from the medical people that need to be helping them. So we really want to partner with these other professionals in what health, but we think that relaxed environment is what's gonna bring them in so that we can plug them into that stuff. So we work as a team.
So you get an open communication with saying that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, see in Anthony's, they were like, so we're looking for a place to do some classes, but we need to store a hospital bed. And I'm like, well, let me think about it and talk with the board. Okay. It's not gonna, they're not doing I think some of the classes are like weekly for 6 weeks or something. This is a quarterly one and we're gonna start with that one-time class thing. And so we're gonna they will be at our building doing that. So
Yeah.
we're excited.
Yeah, good.
This all sounds exciting and I just.
What's this got to do with it, with
I'm
tax?
just trying to reel it in, because I know
Thank
we've
you.
got people on Zoom waiting
All right.
to attend business, but I wanna
So-
take this time to thank you for what you've done for our community.
Yep, and
Let's
thanks
get-
for reeling
let's
me
get
back
to the
in. I know it was good. I'll let you read the other stuff. So this building brought us around to the tax talk, and frankly, I wasn't prepared for, you know, everything we do is because of, it is some fundraising. And all of a sudden, we're gonna need to be fundraising to pay taxes. It's like, how does this happen?
Oh, yeah.
It's just a flip for us, but it was, and thank you for everything you do, because it was like a little eye-opening thing for what you guys do it. And then I come into the last question and going, yeah, I don't wanna get in line for a tax abatement. That is not, we want to carry our weight. We very much do, but we carry it in a different way. Because if she were our client, how we would respond to that is, do you want to be a tax-paying productive citizen? Do you want to be seen like the rest of us? Let's find your skills. Let's get you out into the workforce. Let's do what we can with your parent skills. And yeah, taxes are just one of those necessary evils, and then I step up and say, can you abate my taxes?
How much are they?
But
How much
it's,
are the
it's a
taxes
flip.
a year? Do you know how much your taxes are?
Yeah, I do.
That's good.
Maybe.
So, yeah. Yeah.
I have figures, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
She received these.
I have not officially met Seth. At least not face to
That's
face,
him.
right? They are now 11,000. This is why I went back to get my glasses, 11,854.
For the whole year, right?
Yep,
and do you use the entire space of that building, or is there another part of it that you're renting
no,
out?
we rent about a third of it out. About a third of it is sitting empty right now and has been, it's inefficient space. And a third of it is what we're occupying for our offices. It's just easy to kind of break it up, like a third.
1/3, okay.
So we remodeled a third of it for our offices and crossroads space. We are asking for, I mean, maybe the other years, whatever adjustments you can make will be appreciated, but we're just asking for November and December of last year. We bought it in November. And of course, the taxes were paid up until then, and so we know we need to.
You filed all the paperwork with
Yep.
the assessor's office in January, right?
For the 24 year.
For the 24
Yep.
year, right? So you're looking for that November, December, right?
Yeah,
So then my question is, I'm all for that, but can we do it all because they're only occupying a third of the space? That's my
So
question.
the numbers I figured were treating it like we are in 24, with 30% of it being taxable because a third of it basically is rented out. That's the numbers I figured. And then plus what they received for the sale as the prorated taxes, and then from November 7th to December 31st. And then she probably also is requesting January 1st to June 30th, because that's the second half of the 23 tax year. And I figured those amounts at the 30% as well.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, that's fair. I think that's what we've done in the past.
Yes.
I don't know, if we've never done a percentage. I mean, we've done, the 100% one that they've owned the whole building or whatever. So yours is unique where the portion being rented out,
Right.
which is still generating income, so we still have to ask for taxes on that part,
no,
which is,
we get it.
So Seth, what are a third of that, those 2 times, you got figured up to be total?
So I have the prorated amount received $3,154.02.
Correct.
And then from November 7th to November 30th, being only the 30%, I have $237.10. I mean, you guys can round these numbers, I just figured for the penny, but. And then the month of December, $296.35. And then,
Together, those are 533.45.
altogether with the prorate, I have $3,687.47 for the first half. And then for the second half installment from January 1 to June 30th, I have $1,778.10. That would be the 30% of my recommendation, the other would be due, in my opinion.
you got all the numbers.
No, I don't.
If we come up here, stuff, we need to see.
These are Seth's numbers for him.
I couldn't get it all wrote, so.
yeah, I was writing as fast as I could too, and I.
It's the cents on there that kind of throw you off, isn't it? It's like.
10 cents,
I didn't
37
make
cents.
copies, but.
This is okay, as long as we have it in the minutes, Seth, I think it'll be okay. Cause I kind of jotted them down.
And you guys can adjust it however you see fit.
All right, well, we appreciate the exact
Who
numbers.
keeps track then, Seth, moving forward?
Yeah,
Like when Crossroads gets a tax statement, does it show the dollars amount that would be
So
abated, or does she just get the full tax thing and?
the reason this one shows the 11,000 is because as of July 1, it was not exempt.
Right.
So
Right.
this is what the full year would be for the previous owner and everything. But by Iowa code, since it was purchased after July 1, she signs up by February 1st, so I can only apply it for the 24 year. I can't retroactively go back. That's where you guys have the authority to, from this point on.
So we would be taxing a third. Am I getting that right?
My calculation is
Exempting a third.
Excuse me.
70%.
Abating.
Exempting 70%,
Yes.
taxing 30%.
Unless we end up
From her
renting out
purchase.
that middle portion yet.
Right,
Because they,
But
because
and
the
then
park
that
is
would be
empty,
more
you've
taxable,
seen
right.
that.
yeah.
The empty part is,
Even though they're not.
it's exempt on our,
It's on
usually
business,
should
I
be,
guarantee you.
well, be based off of use, so are you using it for storage or
The middle,
that?
She's
the
gonna
empty
use it to
part?
go into it.
it's so inefficient that there's no doors into there, so either we, we need to put the money into having doors on the outside to make it something, or we, right now, we just don't have the.
I have no doubt that she'll.
Right, so it's gonna be storage.
She's shown that track record. This is a one time, or this will go on?
The November, December is a one time.
But then from then on-
Beyond that,
Then we'll have to do January to
The second half,
the
I
second
think,
half.
yeah, you
Right,
guys should
that, those numbers are
decide
on
on,
here.
and then starting for 24 tax year, it'll
On.
just take care of itself. We'll get the
On-
numbers
on
in
here.
correctly.
No, not
We'll go
wrong,
to the
on.
treasurer and
Yeah.
we'll calculate taxes accordingly.
No, they're fine.
So I guess Seth, when you, the numbers that you were giving were 30%? Is that right? Is that what the,
A third, 30% is what we have.
so a
as
30% abatement?
Taxable.
taxable. 30% is
30% is taxable.
70% exempt.
Okay, just wanna make sure I was hearing correctly. Okay,
So we would need a motion to abate 70% of the taxes
Renting a third out all the time, or you take over that space
on a
down?
prorated basis from November 7th to December 31st,
because
Or-
it's
or
already,
until June 30th.
we're gonna have to invest some money.
Would that be suffice?
Yep.
Just trying to tell you, how do we write the motion?
I mean, that
sounds
would be
correct to me, yeah.
If I made a motion to abate 70% of the taxes on parcel 13102770004 from November 7th, 2023 until June 30th of 2024.
second,
And also the
You're not sure.
prorated amount received, maybe. You probably should throw that in the motion.
What was the end of
Okay.
it?
The prorated amount she received from
At
July 1.
July 1 to December
November
2nd,
6th.
November 7th.
That's
Yeah.
315402.
Yeah, because you received that at closing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, but it's.
Okay, so Carrie, what does the motion say?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Abate 70% of the taxes on parcel, fill in that blank, from November 7th of 2023 until June 3rd of 2024.
June 30th.
June 30th, that's what I said, June 30th.
You might wanna read just a scant bit slower. My pen doesn't roll like
The way
that.
that I wrote it down was to abate 70% of the taxes on parcel number, that's what I got it, you can get from November 7th of 2023 until June 30th of 2024. And the prorated part from July 1st. Didn't finish that one. That's what I forgot.
To November 7th.
To November 7th. Oh,
Ding, ding, ding.
that sounds right, Sam?
Including the
November
roads.
6th.
We get the prorated part of it is from the, so she bought it what month?
November.
November.
But we can't, we're not abating, because snow is.
Because Wanda
You're not
would have
abating
given,
that part.
Wanda would have given that to you in the sale of it. So you would have gotten those funds, either a check. So those funds
For up to November.
up till
Yeah.
November.
Right.
That's
We're
why
not-
we're
we're
only
not having
asking
to do
November.
that.
Easier for the motion to just say the amount.
The amount due.
Taxes due,
Total taxes due.
agree to pay this amount for the first
For the
half,
full
this amount
year.
for the second half.
Yeah.
That'd be simple.
Would be
We like
nice
it
sometime.
simple, so do you want to amend your,
Wait,
We're still what those numbers are?
He's still putting his motion together.
You like it simple.
First half,
it's not as easy
You
as.
have
I
any
know.
points?
Oh,
We-
36.
That's Beth, I started going dizzy by the time, yeah.
One round, it's gotta go to vote.
I tried to write it
If all the
down.
actual taxes due, that's what we're in there.
So-
Second, yeah.
Let's amend it. If
It's
it's gotta say,
7:30.
This month
We haven't got
for
a
the
second.
first half.
He did say.
Well, the motion wasn't completed. I would say that second is invalid because the motion wasn't finished.
We count on Ty, because he's, I got my book if I need to look
You know,
at it.
how can you second something that wasn't?
See if our
well,
numbers.
it wasn't completed yet,
Yep,
so.
we're having discussion.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. Fine.
So after he gets it completed, then
Any further discussion?
Craig can.
All right.
Second.
All right, I think we got
Completed
it.
motion.
Here's
What do you
the
got?
motion.
Where's up?
You got the dollar amount, I don't have the dollar.
You can
amount.
amend your motion. You decided that it wasn't seconded
It wasn't
properly.
seconded.
It wasn't seconded
wasn't
properly, so.
Completely.
we're gonna-
Try.
Motion wasn't.
You can
completely
amend
finished
your
to start
motion
with.
to be whatever you want, because you can always go back and change your motion if it hasn't been seconded.
Okay, my motion will be,
You guys need to come to our board meetings and tutor us.
Be careful what you wish for.
to have
Say it.
Let's go. Give me the dollar amount.
Crossroads will pay $5,465.57 in taxes for the 2023 year. And the rest will be abated.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
No.
For the 2023 tax year, that's from July 1 to June 30, including what she got back in the sale of the property.
Yeah, I guess it'd be up to her, is that all that due in the first year is half due first, half due second?
Right,
That's why
yeah.
that amount I gave
The
you
first
was-
half due would be
And you have those numbers.
$3,684.87.
You have all
We
those
got
numbers, yeah, perfect.
But all what we're asking for is the $5,465.57.
Yeah, by the end of March of 2024.
Which is the third of the rentable, so rented space.
Correct.
All right,
The March 2020,
as long as Terry's got it
Right.
written down.
Thank you.
You got that, Derek?
Yes.
Yep,
end of March 2025.
all right, and Seth is in
Oh,
agreement that we
25.
said it right.
That's 20 March
Sorry.
24.
I meant
Yeah,
25.
We knew we could.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
right, any further
Okay, you-
discussion? No more discussion?
No,
All right.
no further
I'll call a
discussion.
motion,
Here's
all
the-
in favor?
Another chicken.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, chair votes aye.
One tonight.
The motion has been approved as
Right, so we'll
presented.
miss that.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Seth.
Seth.
And thank you for.
Every week
Thank you, Jeanette.
All that.
into November.
Thank you.
All that, yeah.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
patience.
You gotta
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate your help.
And thank you for all you do.
Thank you,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah.
We're getting there.
Best of luck with everything, and so this is taken care of.
Thanks, I really
You're
appreciate
All
it.
right,
dude.
All right. See
all
ya.
right,
Thanks, Jeanette.
all right.
Oh, shoot.
That wasn't you.
It looks like it's well protected.
required insurance is what people like.
What, as long as you still answer it. Alrighty, the next discussion, take action is the local fire department EMS volunteer incentives. This was brought my attention, a while back. Thank you. That's well, I can't read that. Alrighty, so we had a discussion, it seems like probably a year ago that, one of our firefighters had brought in October 22nd. That's her, it's Crossroads. That's why I passed it on, because I can't go into that, I'm not on that calendar yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a completely different one.
Okay.
All right, so, what the discussion has been is to do some kind of a tax abatement, whether it be similar to what we're doing with the Homestead 65. And it didn't seem to fit all of the needs for an incentive for younger firefighters if they don't have a home. Kind of some of the thoughts that I wrote down on it. It needs to address all volunteers, not just homeowners, was a concern of mine. I do understand that it would incentivize someone to buy a home in Crawford County if they were getting such a benefit. But I, people have called me talking about giving a per call, per diem, more after they get certified. There's a lot of moving parts to all of this. it kind of, we would have to decide if we wanted to go past the death of the firefighter. Those were all things that came up, in the last conversation.
It took all the hype they had.
What some people are looking at is they maybe need more help to get certified, that there's, no money's available. So when I was talking to Shelby County about what they do, they suggested that we put it on the agenda for tomorrow for our 4-county board meeting in Ottawa. So I'm thinking that it might be better to bring this back next week after we've talked to the other counties that are neighbors to us and see what they're doing, and kind of, what I did is kind of pull some, hold on, it's not there. Property tax exemption information. We all agree that there could be grants available for scholarships, higher education funding opportunities, as well as training programs designed to recruit and retain new members is kind of their mission statement. But I don't think it's a one size fits all. It's kind of where I'm trying to go with this. I think that we have to be creative on how we really serve what we're trying to do, and that is to get younger people involved. I see Corey's here. What do you have to add to this?
I didn't know if they've seen that article I sent you.
I did, I forwarded it. So we're trying to take that, really the part that stumbles me a little bit is for the firefighters who don't own a home and they send it. The other part of it is that we can only, not abate, but exempt the tax for the part that the county gets. We can't do the school and the hospital. So that portion becomes a smaller percentage. But one of the things that somebody brought to my attention was, you got somebody, we'll use an exaggerated amount, a $400,000 house, and somebody else is living in a $50,000 house. They are doing the same thing side by side, and one's getting a bigger benefit than the others. And I think that my goal was to keep it fair, that there's no animosity. This one gets this much because they have a bigger, better house, and this one doesn't even own a house. That is.
You're gonna have the same thing for who shows up for more
Right,
things also.
right.
That's why, I'm not a huge fan of the per call thing, because I don't really get monitored.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you might have 30 people in a department where 10 of them actually show up.
right.
They had all 30 get marked off on this, so those 10 are getting an unfair advantage, that's where I'm stuck at.
One of the things that I looked up, the volunteer actually would pay their full tax. Then after they paid their taxes, they would bring in an application that, kind of tells why they think they deserve it. It would have to be signed off by the chief of that, fire department, and then approved by the board of supervisors. I think that was the state of Pennsylvania, maybe. I just kind
Then
of,
they have to give them a rebate back or?
yeah, we give them a check back.
Check back.
And, so there, I looked at Maryland, just different states and talked to different counties. Shelby, like when I talked to Steve Kinkle, he wasn't even sure if they had one. He didn't think they did. They don't, but he was interested.
But I think if you guys, would lead the way or something,
Correct.
I bet you all of a sudden it'd be around. So that would eliminate your county issues where so-and-so lives outside of county.
Correct. That's why it's fortunate that tomorrow we're having a meeting in Ottawa with the 4 counties, and then we can all kind of discuss it. I just feel like it's not a discussion we can have an action on today, but I think we needed to get it out there so we can start having that conversation again, get creative so that it checks every box of what we're trying to accomplish with it. It's an incentive, and also, because Steve Kinkle was like, well, is it an award or an incentive? And I said, it's kind of both. And I feel like after 25 years of service, rather than giving a tax incentive on your property, because as you get older, you might want to move into an apartment, maybe have a fund that you get a little stipend for a thank you for all your years of service, rather than giving you a tax break on a house that you might be selling next year because you've outgrown it. So there's all these little things. I think it's gonna take more than one meeting.
Because I read too, Gene, on your Pennsylvania example, was that then, is that considered 1099 income for that person? Do they have to declare that as income tax? And now it's taxed. All things that, it's just sometimes you wanna do the right thing, and it just gets to be, because of the
And that's
government structure, it gets to be a real pain in the butt to
Yep,
do.
yes.
When you just wanna, because I think Kyle brought it up the best one time, I mean, he mentioned, do you know what it would cost if we had to have a county fire department?
That's right.
You know what that cost would be? So that it would be far better if we could find out some way to incentivize and get young people like Corey to join and then benefit them for their length, that have been on, like you said, 20, 25 years, benefit them also. How do you do that?
The tricky
That's what we
part,
need to come up with.
there's so many variables in this, and I feel like we've really went deep in this before. In the state themselves, we've said, can't come up with something because there are so many variables, and by the time you do something for one, it doesn't quite fit the mold for another. Corey, would it be better if you're gonna, let's just throw a number, if you're gonna have 20,000 in taxes that are exempt or abated, that the county instead would give 20,000 to the fire association or each department?
Yeah, it'd be tricky because you have, like, say us with 26 people and another department with 7.
Right.
Right, you'd almost have to do a per
We-
capita
We
or
run,
whatever,
we
or,
run
per department.
130 calls a year, they run 12, so
Cause you run into so many different things of, well, like I said, back to who has a bigger home and not a home, who
Yeah.
doesn't have a home, you're benefiting
So
someone
I wrote it all down.
long-term versus.
that exemption that for myself was from New York, it looked
Yep.
like they passed it as a state law. So then they just opened the door up for everybody and it's a done deal.
Yeah, and I look,
And I don't know if you can get that accomplished.
Iowa has a volunteer program.
So we have one in Manila.
Yeah.
So you get paid for your meetings and you have to show that, we mark off who was there, who was not there. It's a small portion. I mean, you're talking a couple $1,000s a year that the whole department gets individually, so. And you get it at the benefit, your appreciation supper and that's about it. But is it a lot? No. Is it something? Sure. It makes everybody feel a little bit better.
A little bit better. Time away from your family. With this one here, I highlighted it, how will the volunteer earn their credits? The number of emergency calls to which a volunteer responds, the level of training and participation, formal training and drills for a volunteer, the total amount of time expended by a volunteer on administrative and other supportive services, including but not limited to fundraising, providing facility or equipment maintenance, financial bookkeeping, etc. The involvement of other events or projects that aid the financial viability, emergency response, and operational readiness of the volunteer fire company or a nonprofit emergency medical service. So, some other state has thought this all the way through. How do you get your credit? That seems pretty inclusive, how you would get that.
I'm gonna tell you the downsides of that.
I always,
Charter Oak had that years ago. And you'd have people that just go down and sit at the fire station and watch TV and mark that they were down there for 4 hours. Hey,
okay,
they were there for 4 hours.
I got it.
So there's downfalls, so no matter what you try, there's always gonna be pitfalls. And it's gonna harm, if you, like you said, nothing's ever gonna be perfect. I wanted to ask Corey, instead of going enhancement of training or whatever, potentially could lure young, just throwing stuff out, would we be better off taking X amount of dollars every year and just doing putting it towards a training deal, or instead of trying to give each buddy $500, just say $30,000 at a training day? Or something.
We discussed that in our last meeting, we've had these countywide trainings and you get about 4 departments show up. And, so now we go back to the credit.
Same people,
Who gets the credit?
same people.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm not saying the credit's gonna benefit and gain, you're not gonna get 20 people per town. It's not gonna happen, you don't have those people. It's not the same generation when Kyle was on, and Ty was on, it's not there. I don't know what the answer is, the reason I came is to hear what you guys thought.
Correct. And I
I
appreciate
just
that.
happened to find out.
So maybe we're just throwing
Yeah,
mud at a wall and don't need to be throwing it at it.
I don't.
Maybe we're better off just sticking that money in the training.
And that's one of the things that why I think it's so important with what we're actually gonna have a meeting about here in a little while. Then we have a channel to test waters and then finance training programs, different things on a county level at the very least. And, you know, maybe even grant things to the departments that have special services, like you guys have EMS, Dow City, Kyron now. You know, I mean, those that are doing a little bit more, I mean, we've got such a variation and there's things that we need to serve our citizens. You know, and I mean, it's hard to figure out how to incentivize it, but I mean, this is a great thought. But you know, it's just like when we bounced this up when we talked about this last time, I mean, it's hard to nail down how to do it.
It is.
And you wanna be fair, and because it's tax dollars, we're obligated to be fair. You know, so I mean, it's a tough oyster to crack. I mean, it really is. I
Does
mean,
the state offer is it a state sales tax rebate that
We get,
Bring that.
500?
it's like $50. It's on our tax, I can't remember what they call it.
Oh, so it is a tax credit
Yeah.
for your income,
Maybe.
for your income tax?
Yes.
Yes.
I have it printed somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think your 4 county meeting is gonna be a good start for
Right,
everything.
right.
And I just wonder if you don't put something into place and say, it's a trial run, see how it goes, and
Right.
amend it down the road if you start running into issues, I don't know.
One of the things that, you know, injured volunteer, you know, some of the things I looked up, they have a fund for that. You have your injured, while you're, in response, and the injured volunteer must submit self-certification, you know. Those are all things that could be incorporated, that we've just been so fortunate all these years that that's not come up, you know, you're a volunteer. And
well, we gotta have work comp and stuff.
you are,
It
you're
is. It's through the
volunteer.
cities.
I think,
We do that.
Or comp through the cities.
7 departments have work comp through their city, but some of them are on their own.
Yeah.
Dow City, you know, something,
Some are on their own,
yeah.
but if you,
They're kind of, some are comp, yeah.
but that's all taken care of, just get their injury paid.
Yeah, I've never got a bill from anything when I got hurt.
I don't think so. I think that.
Which rightfully
covers
so,
that pretty well.
should.
Some things I highlighted when I was reading through, New York, Pennsylvania.
I do feel like it's gonna pertain to the EMA though.
Oh, yeah. I think it's gonna be a big thing, huh?
Well, I think last time we went down this road and had some of these discussions, it was, where do you start and stop with, including, you know, first responders, EMA, police?
Well, I think the only way to hammer it out is to talk about it in an open meeting so that people can call with their objections or their opinions, what they think will work, and get a trial run out there at some point in time. We just have to start talking about it.
No, I don't know it. I mean, I can only speak for me. But you never join a volunteer service to get paid.
No.
But you do join it for multiple things to do with camaraderie.
Yep.
And to serve your community. You know, to know that your families, I mean, I never forget the day they showed up. Everybody was at church. My truck started on fire. I mean, they were there in lickety
We
split.
weren't at church. We had 2 house fires that day and yours was.
I was
still at the.
so you guys didn't make, well, it was during church time, how's that?
You
But I
want
mean,
it.
those
They
are
were
the
praying,
reasons,
but.
those are the reasons that people show up to do them things,
It's
is
hard.
to serve the community. And then also everybody likes to drive fast, so.
Yeah.
Throw their blue light on, which they're not supposed to, but in any event,
Well, what we can do is gather information for
I
our
mean,
county.
that's why I think you just gotta figure out a multiple series of maybe benefits, you know, like you brought up different trainings. Just even seminars, you know, that they can come to, just different things to reward them for their services.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just put something together that, have somebody that's a great fireman, that's, you know, in a fireman's hall of fame somewhere, that could come speak at an event and a dinner for the whole county.
Keep people
If they can
motivated.
come, they can come. If they can't, they can. But you see what I'm saying?
Corey, do you feel like there's anything that the volunteer firemen in Crawford County are lacking? As far as, I mean, put aside the exemption and the tax stuff and that, but I mean, for what you guys provide and how you provide it, is there anything the county could help you with? Training, equipment?
Well, you can always have training, I mean, it shows when you have mutual aid, you know, which departments have what, you know, we're like the structured fires Dennis, so we all, between Dow City, Vale, Manila, and Dennis, we all have the same equipment now, so it's pretty easy, but now you bring in West Side, Deloitte, something like that, that maybe don't have the funding for it, so they can't exactly buy the same thing we buy. I mean, we fundraise a lot every year, so we kind of buy what we need to buy.
Or even like communication towers, I mean, when we did that,
When that gets done, that's gonna be great.
Big time.
is there anything in that
I
needs
guess
to be tweaked or adjusted or?
I can't say there is, right, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean,
How many members are in your Manila Fire Department? Is it
Like,
20?
19 firemen and we have 10 EMS, but some of them are fire, so probably 26 myself. Give or take.
And you would say Vale would be, how big?
Oh,
Vale volunteer, you
I can
know,
go through the dispatches for them, they might have 13, 14,
Kyron less than 10 or?
somewhere in the 10, 12 range, I would think. Slush Week's no one's got a lot of members now, I think they're up to 26 or so. Yeah. There's a lot of little things you can do. I mean, the e-dispatches now is getting paid, instead of the departments, 911 paying for it, so now we're all in the same system. And I think it's great, I know a lot of other departments like it. Not everybody probably agreed with it, but it's working.
I mean, just to thinking out loud, I guess, is if you took a dollar amount, let's just say it's $100 per person. And so you gave Manila $2,600 a year, you gave Kyron $1,000 a year if they have 10 members, and let the local fire department or, you know, let them determine what they want to do with the money. If they want to do it for training, they can do it for training. If they want to give it as giving it, buying equipment, giving it back to the members, however they saw fit. You know, maybe we could do something that way. I don't know. Just something else to throw into our pot and stir.
I think throwing it out in an open meeting will get people to give ideas and we can pick and choose and see what other counties are doing. But the only way we get the open conversation is to give it in an open. So, we started. So keep thinking about what we can do, Corey, what works, what, you know, because it's hard for us to say what's gonna work for you guys. So you have to bring us the ideas and.
We're in good shape right now, I'm just worried about the next 10 years.
I get it.
It really seems to me, Ty
It's
hit
10
on
years to
some,
get something figured out.
the team building camaraderie. Charter Oak was really successful when we were running 100 calls a year.
Yep.
Yeah,
People
when you
see the
do it.
lights and sirens going. Numbers dwindled when when nothing was going on.
Well, it's getting hard for people to run out of their jobs.
What can we do to do the camaraderie, or just big golf tournaments or something? I don't know. What do you do to get people, the young people to say, God, I wanna be a part of that? Cause look at, them guys are out there
Yeah,
having a good time. How can I do that? That's probably a wiser investment in money than,
Maybe
You know, what about-
Go to each department,
What's
go
that?
to a meeting up there and say, what do we need to do?
yeah, each one, it's not a one
Charter
size
Oak
fits
should be
all.
different than Manila.
Right, one size does not fit all.
I'm not saying you guys have to go, but.
You know, here's something I was thinking of,
It is.
you know, as we're sitting here and thinking. We don't really have, you know, I mean, like for our veterans, we've got our memorial out here. What if we had a county emergency services Hall of Fame or something? You see what I'm saying? And then have a yearly induction ceremony, you know, like have a big, try to have some kind of a festival get together to where when we put somebody in this hall, for putting them in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? And you could have an old timers where you can go back and put Kyle. But I had to just throw that in.
Yes.
But you know, I mean, some of you guys have gave a lot of time, a lot of treasure and a lot of effort and blood, sweat and tears, you know, I've seen it all into the service of our community. You know, so to have something that celebrates that, I mean, I'm just throwing something out there to start throwing darts at
Write it
those
down.
sticks. You know, if you had like a Hall of Fame and then you had something somewhere where everybody could see that, you
And
know?
most of those people don't do it for the recognition.
That's big.
Well, that's just it.
They just do it
They'd
for love
be
of the community,
embarrassed, yeah.
love of their brother.
But you know,
That's
and I've never seen anybody turn away from a thank you. And that's kind of what you'd be doing with this, a thank you.
All right, so we will bring this back and discuss it, what we've
Yeah,
learned from our
just-
other, we'll keep it kind of in that forefront, Corey.
Yep.
Keep talking to your people, we'll bring back what we can from our other counties and just keep pick and choose what works for us, so.
Thanks for coming up, Cory.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, been a little bit. Go get some lunch.
All right, so next on the agenda is citizens input. Oh, no, we have the commercial bird. Oh, yes. Well, you guys have been waiting a long time very patiently, so you're on. We have some questions as far as, I think the first question we would have is, what kind of a guarantee do we have?
I don't think he's still there.
Who was it?
It was Keith Markin.
It's not Laura John in booking?
I don't know who booking is.
All
I'm
right,
guessing not down the jail, but
No
yeah.
idea.
Oh, okay.
Laura John, it's, see the city clerk in Manila?
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, our guy he was headed to Minnesota and had a meeting at 11, so
Oh, we should have put him
he
on.
is gone.
You guys should have told me and I would have gladly have, that's why we don't have times on these things, so.
I know, but I did talk to him a little
Okay,
bit.
perfect.
I have a couple things, but we can put it on, back on the agenda, cause I also talked to that Tom, the
Oh,
engineer.
you did talk to Tom.
I did, he called me
Good.
called me yesterday, I called him back this morning. Asking about the structural load to Keith, and he's the Plunkett gentleman. And he said, that the weight of the netting would be less than 50 pounds. And he related it, and it's like, oh, thanks, that was good. He said, no more than, say, 12 vultures on your tower, which, the netting will eliminate said vultures, so the weight will come from the netting and not the vultures anymore.
Here
So
we go.
that's what he said. He talked about maintenance. Maintenance would be, acts of God. Say wind or something would tear it up or whatever. Service techs would come and
What's the netting made out of?
I don't know if I know that. I don't know that the,
It's a mesh.
50 pounds is,
Nylon or something.
I don't know that this
But
says exactly the
Obviously,
materials.
the Wind's gonna get to that eventually.
So yeah, and Tom, I gave
Some
Tom
deterioration.
this gentleman's contact info, so they were going to talk.
Perfect, because those are the questions I have, because
Yeah.
even that netting is like 12 vultures in weight, but when it becomes covered in ice.
Right,
it's-
exactly.
Is it 1,200 vultures in weight? I mean,
Yes.
Cause I just think back at the ice storm in 2009, December, the power lines. Just think that
Well, we
ice
get
was
this
about
thing-
the size of a pop can on the power lines over 300 feet. That was,
They
what
get
did we
the
figure, it
balance
was like
and
4,000
swap it.
pounds of ice hanging on one line, so you times that times the 4 lines there, and it was like having a tractor between them poles sitting there. So I mean, those are those things that
Great.
could really screw that.
Gonna
Things
thing.
that we
close
need
the
to know the
holes
answers
too, though, and make it a solid structure, and then the winds, and when
Right.
you have ice storm, you get a lot of wind.
So those, I'm glad Tom and Keith are gonna communicate
Yeah,
to
right.
figure those things out.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to hear from either one or the other or both or whatever, so.
those things are
So
about.
just get some more info.
Isn't
Great
worth
point.
destroying a
Yeah,
tower.
that's-
Yeah. I will tell you that, being uptown for the last couple of days, I did get to witness how ugly they are up there. I didn't never spent a lot of time looking. They're just strange up there with their wings out. They're also at the water tower up on 16th Street, all the way around it.
They've been there for years.
Yeah, well, I'm now starting to take notice
Oh.
of the vultures around and,
It's amazing
And
how
just
many
how
there are
they-
in town.
they just can stand so still for so long with their wings out. It's just crazy.
They're sunning themselves.
Or something.
I actually had to load at a place I loaded it down in Russell, Kansas, and they had a place. It had a lot of rafter type things that were exposed outside, and every rafter and every pipe and everything had them bird things that stick
Oh, the
up.
bird spikes.
Yes,
We have
there you
those
go.
all around our building.
Yeah, and they just stick on. There's just like this little sticky. And I literally started walking around there, hopefully not getting in trouble, looking to see if I could find any spots where there was birds sitting. Because this was a grain elevator. So there's a lot of foodstuffs for birds. and there weren't any. None.
I'd
So
like-
them things are pretty effective. I
Yeah.
don't know how much they'd weigh though either.
I'd like to hear back what these two guys say, but I also think wouldn't be bad to speak to sheriff's department or the city police, and I don't, before you spend 20 grand, see about their thoughts on what, you say it was Perry that shoot one and hang him up there?
You gotta get a,
Gotta get
Atlantic does
permission
that.
for that.
You
Right,
have to have permission.
Right, from.
but I mean, to talk to them first,
Yeah.
and saying if we could get permission, if they'd be willing to,
Who we're gonna nominate to shoot one?
so we need to talk to.
oh, I'm gonna guarantee
City
it.
cops do it in
I'm gonna
Atlantic.
say we'll find a cop
That's
who
what I
can
mean,
handle
if
it.
we talk-
Perry, they don't shoot them, they just,
You can
yes, they have
buy-
members of the public contact them and say, hey, there's a injured one here, or, well, I hit one with a car and it's dead. That's how they get
Oh, okay.
theirs.
Huh?
All right.
Is they don't necessarily shoot them. Atlantic, they do, and they every year have to get a permit from the area Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
for
out of
certain.
the office out of
I bet we have,
Minneapolis.
Let's
To get
I bet we
work
have
on
a
the
trained
permit
sniper
case
with
so
our
their deal
sheriff's
doesn't work,
department.
should we? Cause then her time.
Well, I think
Seems like every
Worth to
office,
talk
police
to
department has
Right
one.
home about that.
Yeah, well,
Because
let's get the
I
permit.
think where they park.
Wayne
And
said
then they have the firemen
courthouse,
set them up.
shoot them with frozen paintballs.
Let's work on getting a permit.
And they would disappear for a
But
while.
in order to get the permit, you have to show that you've gone through these other necessary steps and that those steps are
That's
now
the
working.
worst idea.
Oh, like putting up an apparatus,
So you have
like
to do-
nets,
right, you have to
or
say
the
that
spikes,
We've
or.
tried the spikes, we've tried this,
We have
is
to
what the
spend
officer in Atlantic
$19,000.
told me,
Really?
that.
That's
So
why
we'll spend
they have-
20
And that's why you just said if you need to fill out that permit, call me first and I'll walk you through, cause it's not as simple as it seems, which is not surprising. Dealing with the federal
Not at all.
government, that it would be
No.
confusing.
All right, well, anybody else out there with citizen input? Laura or booking? No one in the crowd? You, Terry?
I do.
All right, you're up.
So, JP Flooring came
Yeah.
and measured the flooring on the second and the first floors of the courthouse, gave us an estimate.
Oh,
And not, we haven't picked out the floors, but he just used a pretty general price
Yeah.
on, commercial glue down LVP flooring, which is something vinyl plank. Linoleum, no, I don't remember what the
Laminate?
L stood for. Anyway, what?
Laminate?
Maybe laminate, that might be it.
Laminate, but, yeah.
Anyway, so the total is, $77,372.29.
okay.
And
That's everywhere
That's
where there isn't.
everything, that's auditor, assessor, conference room, supervisor boardroom, the
And-
juvenile court, veterans, recorder, treasurer, driver's license, county attorney, the that hallway that goes to that, where that door closes, the safety door, that hallway.
Everywhere where
down
there
to
isn't
the
marble. is that
Everywhere
how we
there's
did?
not marble,
Down to the sheriff or the.
not all the way, just down to the door that closes.
Gotcha.
Yep, where the flooring changes
Okay,
color.
okay.
When you say that, it's not as large a number, I guess, as.
That's a lot of space. I
Right.
mean, it is a lot of space.
That
And
was
it's like,
also Paul's
it's like our
office, too,
vault. Yep, it's the engineer's office, everything, yeah. I don't know if he put engineer on here, but it did include the engineer's office.
Think of all this.
So he could
'Cause
just
I
go
walked
right
him
over,
around.
right over the top of what we got?
Yes, he would go right over the top. There's like a material, a leveling type compound that he'd put down first to fill in any maybe cracks that have appeared or holes that have worn, things like that.
You know,
And
Who's in
then,
charge?
he would, say again,
Who's in charge of moving everything? Like when he,
we are,
National
we are.
I also have,
I don't know that-
Rockwell City Jail.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, but anyway,
we get-
we'll do it on a weekend, y'all are free.
Do we have,
I'm a lot of help moving stuff. just
And that's what he
last
said,
year.
it could be nights and weekends, it can, you know what I mean, so it wouldn't have to be when we're in customer flow mode and whatever.
do we have any capital improvements due this year? We spoken for on all those funds.
I don't know if we probably are pretty close with all the other things, but
It was some which should.
budget amendment or whatever you decide to do,
We all agree we want to keep this
Sound like we
building.
might be doing a budget amendment, eh?
Get rid of it.
we are.
Well,
The HVAC stuff, we'll have to do budget amendment, because I think a lot of our capital was probably gonna go to the community services building.
Crawford County Community Services Center.
All right, so
Good numbers, thank you very much.
Question.
CSC.
answer.
Budget amendment versus money we have sitting in an account going to this wellness center that's just sitting there of, 750,000 instead of having a budget amendment. Can we, Rob, is that, would that be non-kosher?
I wouldn't do it.
Okay. We
Well, either way,
should have an amendment.
we have a healthy general fund and
Right.
we're gonna levy for it next year for capital improvements versus pulling it out this year.
Right, we can do a lot of different things.
Let's do it.
I think we should do it, cause this, I mean, we've got a tripping hazard going down into the hallway.
Right,
We're making all these moves. What better time to do it than before that's had taken place?
Maybe we shouldn't, yeah.
Well, either way, we're gonna do it next year or this year.
Did he say what his time?
It ain't gonna get
was
cheaper.
that he could do it?
Ain't gonna get.
he didn't.
Better than doing a bond for a new one for $3 million.
I can find that out.
$30 million.
Find out where we would be in his
New
calendar.
courthouse?
Right, to say
If
if
we
we
were to
would say
say,
yes.
yep, we're,
Right,
yeah,
when, how soon can you be here?
yeah, I can find that out.
Okay.
All right, good discussion. So any other citizen input
Yeah,
before
be
I call
good.
for adjournment?
You're done.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. We're just making the place so pretty.
Well, I think.
We've got a wonderful.
I know.
It is
Yeah,
a
it is
wonderful-
huge and it's
You're
nice to be able to keep our
And
old
it's our
courthouse.
responsibility to make sure
Love
it
it.
stays that
All
way.
right.
You can wait till I retire to get rid of it.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right, thank you very much. All right, go forward, do your other meetings. Kyle, what are you doing right this
You
minute?
have a job
Right this
description,
minute, I'm not-
Commissioner.
What do you want?
Marvin,
I don't know if we do. I can look and see.
Excuse
So
myself.
Roger,
if
I
you
just
want to
texted him.
meet up at
Roger